Good morning, Raptor Freaks. It's Alexios. It's Sunday morning, and we do Sunday Special Report. And today's Sunday Special Report is on Ed Rogers III. Who is this guy? What is this all about? You know, somebody said something on this chat a couple weeks ago that I was very, very much against and was not agreeing with them, and they were wrong. And I have the proof for it today. You know, somebody said that why are you taking sides against Ed Rogers and the Rogers family dispute? They're all spoiled oligarchs and they're the same. That's not true in this case. Seriously. You know, there's rich people that are actually kind-hearted and good and philanthropic and do believe in equality, economic equality and helping people have good lives. And that is the common thread in the Rogers family. I want you guys to know this. The Rogers family is not a bad family. It's just there's one particular family member that's absolutely a POS, and it's Edward Rogers III. Nobody in that family except for Ed Rogers and his wife Suzanne are MAGA. The rest of the family are very, very humanitarian. You know, Ted Rogers II, the man who made Rogers what it is. You got to understand the lineage. You start with Ed Rogers the first, Ted Rogers the first, born in 1900. And the reason why he's famous, the first Ed Rogers, Ted Rogers, is that he was an early pioneer in radio in Canada. He didn't build the company like it is. The second Ted Rogers did. But he had early involvement in telecommunications because he was a whiz with radio before everybody else. And that's how that family got in that business. Is the grandfather was a very early pioneer in radio. In fact, he could do radio here in Ontario and in Canada, in Toronto, before many. And he was a very successful radio person. But this is small scale, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The man was just himself doing radio broadcasts and early testing of that. Sadly, Ted Rogers I died at the age of 38 in 1939. And well, his son, Ted Rogers II, went on and became a huge media conglomerate mogul. That's right. The fifth richest person in Canada by the time he died, building the Rogers empire. Now, Ted Rogers II, he's not necessarily a bad guy. He's not at all, actually. That's why his statue's outside the Sky Dome, because he mixed his savvy business ventures and mentality with, humanitarian kind of ways about how he conducted his business. In fact, it was important to him that his employees were fairly compensated. It was important to him that there were social programs that he established with some of his wealth to help people. I mean, this is a man who gave $25 million to the Toronto Metropolitan University of Toronto. Gave money to the former, Ryerson. Gave money to York. Started all kinds of stuff. Helped with sick kids. Did all kinds of things. His wife, Loretta, very, 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 very active, philanthropic woman who was a huge heart and cared about people. Very much cared about people a lot. Now, the Rogers family has, the two of them had 4 children. The oldest is a daughter named Lisa. Lisa Rogers is not interested in the Rogers business very much at all, although she is the oldest. And in some ways, the hierarchy of passing things down, sometimes the oldest child gets stuff, right? But some cases, patriarchy, the oldest son gets stuff. And that's where this thing's a little weird. Lisa Rogers is older than Edward Rogers III, but in some ways he jumped in the line and got in line for all this kind of stuff. I don't know if that's totally what Ted Rogers' intention was, the second, but that's what's happened is that, Ed Rogers III has been very aggressive in trying to be the person solely in charge. Now, Ted Rogers II knew there may be issues after he died, so he did all kinds of things to set up a hierarchy in the Rogers power structure to try and allow for checks and balances. Because in some ways he knew there could be some problems between the siblings. The siblings already didn't get along in certain ways. Very, very different people. You guys got to understand. So when somebody said, oh, they're all the same, I'm like, no, they're not. It's very apparent that they're not. They are not the same. And in fact, the crazy thing is that Ed Rogers III is the black sheep of the family. He's the one who's on the out, and the rest of them are the same in the other way. And that's, kind of like very kind, philanthropic family that has done so many amazing things for this community in Toronto and this city and this country. And there's reasons why he has Ed Rogers the second has a statue out there. There's a reason why they called it Rogers Way over by Jarvis when Ed Rogers the second died. There's two sides of things, and then sometimes when you have kids, your kids represent different parts of you, and this is true in this case. Melinda Rogers, the third child in the family, is very much the heart, and has been described as the most like her father, Ed Rogers II. That Melinda is like the walking embodiment of him and who he was, more than Ed Rogers III, more than Lisa, more than Martha. That Melinda is the one who kind of is in his likeness and his energy. Now, the thing is, in some ways, the sisters, the Rogers sisters, are very, very caring and doting and nurturing. And they are the ones who kind of took over the reins of the philanthropic endeavors of the Rogers Media Corporation. They're the ones who take care of all of the philanthropy and charities that they do, just like their mother. One of the sisters, Melinda, actually lives in San Francisco. She does not live in Canada. She lives in San Francisco with her business husband, and she runs a Rogers charity company from there. Now, like I said, Lisa's out of the picture. The oldest sister, she just doesn't want to have anything to do with anything, and she kind of doesn't fight or do anything. She doesn't try to stake her claim as the eldest sibling in any kind of way. In some ways, I wish she would. Personally, I would say, Lisa, come on now. But I guess it's too late. If you weren't going to try and do it when you were younger, getting to this point and trying to get in the ring with Ed Rogers in certain ways is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, the other two, though, have very bitterly fought Ed Rogers this whole entire last decade. This has been going on for a while. Ted Rogers II died in 2008, and a power structure was set. And he had a guy named Mohammed who was running his wireless Rogers company. And Mohammed was a superstar. And in the 2000s, Mohammed was in charge of wireless, and Ed Rogers III was in charge of cable. And what happened in the industry was that the wireless took off, and it made huge amounts of money. And cable was stifled. Cable was not growing. Cable was having all kinds of problems. And they were having quarterly meetings, and Ed Rogers II would have his son, the third, come in, and this guy, Mohammed, who was heading the wireless, and the wireless company was doing amazing. The stats were off the charts. And meanwhile, the part that Ed Rogers III was running wasn't doing jack shit. Was just kind of sitting right where it was, not moving anywhere, not growing or nothing. Well, Mohammed was a superstar. Mohammed was the guy that Ed Rogers II wanted to run Rogers after he died. He didn't want his son to run it. He handpicked Mohammed, and he made it very, very clear that this guy's been so successful. I want him to run Rogers after I pass. In some ways, he put Ed Rogers II third in charge at first, but he said that I want a hierarchy where the board is able to vote people out if they're not doing their job correctly. I want a checks and balances like the U.S. government, where the Congress checks the president. And he set up a system for that. And it was through a board. And there were a lot of old Rogers execs that were important people to Ed Rogers II that were in charge of that board, along with family members, including two of the sisters and Ed Rogers, not Lisa, though. And then also Loretta, the mother, Ed Rogers II's wife. And consistently throughout the last 25 years, there's been odds against this person against this person. It's basically Ed Rogers III against his mother and his sisters is basically where the lines are drawn in most cases. Melinda and Martha fighting the hardest against Ed Rogers and his very much a huge power grab. In some ways, he calculated things. In some ways, his sisters say he's not smart enough to figure this out. He had people that guided him. and that he had overseers and different people that were kind of like telling him what to do because they had a financial interest in him getting in charge and being in power in Rogers. So in some ways, he's not a very smart guy, Rogers the third, just so y'all know. He's definitely a Nepo baby who's had everything that he's ever gotten in his life handed to him. He's not necessarily a good businessman. He's just a person who's been strategically placed in a really good place by birthright. And, the thing that happened with Muhammad was there was a power struggle. And Muhammad was smart. He made himself a golden parachute and a really good contract. And exactly what he thought would happen. After Ed Rogers II died, Ted Rogers III came in and power took over at the top and pushed this guy out, pushed this guy Muhammad out. And there's a pattern here that Ed Rogers III has had people that around him are way more successful and better at what he does, and he's jealous. There's a pattern here of him not liking people that are successful around him. And this could tell you a whole lot about how he feels about Messiah and this kind of stuff. This can tell you exactly how it tells you so much. Now, I want y'all to have another opinion of the Rogers family is that they're a very good family. It's just that he is a piece of shit. He's the only one. Because in some ways, the sisters, they embody the benevolent, kind spirit of Ed Rogers II. And Ed Rogers III got all of the cutthroat business, I don't have a heart in me kind of bullshit in his genes. There is a side of the Rogers family that is absolutely benevolent and great and fantastic and amazing and very patriotic towards Canada and its citizens. During the rise of Ed Rogers III and the Rogers Cable Company, the Rogers Media Company, he wanted to raise all the prices on us. He's the one who's raised your cable bill. And the sisters were the ones who were fighting to keep the cable bills down. There was all kinds of restructuring of the media, huge corporation of Rogers, and employees were in trouble to lose their jobs. And Ed Rogers was about cutting jobs and saving money and making more profits. And meanwhile, Melinda and Martha were fighting for the employees and their rights and trying to help them in this power struggle. Sadly, Ed Rogers III, in 2001, there was a very bitter battle and legal battle, and he won. And he got control of the company. In some ways, that could have changed a lot of things that are happening right now with the Raptors. If the sisters had been successful in wrestling the chairman of the board away from Ed Rogers III, but they weren't. In some ways, Ed Rogers III used devious tactics. He fired the board and put on a bunch of yes men on the Rogers board, and they elected him to be the chair. There was already a board before that who did not agree with him in 2020 that actually had elected him off the board, and he had been kicked out temporarily. But then he used the power arm tactic to establish his own board, kicking out certain board members and getting yes men board members to vote him back in. And, he's basically minimized his sister's impact on the company. Now, Loretta Rogers died in 2022, and she was a huge person in between her son and what he was doing. And when she died, that really kind of hurt things in this situation a lot, because now the matriarch, the mother, the wife of Ted Rogers II, was out of the picture. And in some ways, she was very vocal and publicly not with her son in this dispute. If you want to know who one of the Rogers is like, you go and check out Martha Rogers' Twitter account. It's amazing. I mean, I'll read some of these tweets right here that she wrote. In some ways, I put them on Discord, and I want to read a couple of them for you guys about what she said. Y'all, this is why I don't want y'all to fill this up with garbage, because I want to be able to find stuff that we posted in here, and y'all writing all this speculative bullshit, and I have to scroll for fucking 5 minutes just to find my Ed Rogers stuff that I posted that I kind of want to look at today. So just so y'all know, on Discord, y'all with your extracurricular bullshit, put it in the speculative channel and stop putting it in the basketball channel, because I need to be able to find stuff quickly to reference on the channel on this show. All right, here's the Martha Rogers. And this is a tweet from October 26, 2021. Ed, what are you thinking? Fragility, hashtag fragility, hashtag Team Masai, hashtag Ed Rogers Saga, hashtag We the North. Now, why would Martha Rogers in 2021 post that she's on Team Masai? Yeah, because this was right around when he made that comment that Masai was overpaid and that he thought he shouldn't be making so much money. Now, think about this. This is a bitter family feud between sisters and this brother. And it's very bitter. I mean, it could be rooted in actual sibling rivalry when they're kids and like not getting along then to the point where they're adults. It's even bigger because it's business, huge multi-billion business. They took the side of Masai, his own sisters, coming out saying Team Masai all the way against my brother. Yeah, we're with Masai because we believe in Masai more than you. We believe in Muhammad more than you. We believe in these other people more than you, Ed Rogers III. So why can't y'all understand how Ed Rogers III is a little pitiful shit who could be revengeful and getting back at people? You know, if he hates his sister so much for the fights that they've had and the sibling rivalry they had, and they're siding with Masai and they're saying Masai this, Masai that, and he can't hurt his sisters to a degree. He can hurt them by taking the company away and not letting them be in charge or be around. That's the way, I guess. But he can hurt them even further by hurting the people that they support. And that was the pattern with Muhammad way before the head of wireless. And that is the pattern here with Masai Ujiri, guys. The sisters put their hat in the ring for Masai, and battle lines are drawn. Ed Rogers Jr., Ed Rogers III sees the battle lines and says, that guy's a guy I need to take out. And that guy's Ujiri. You know, we want to understand this a little bit better. You got to understand the family history of the Rogers family and just how much of a piece of shit Ed Rogers III is. Seriously, guys. Here's some more tweets. This is what he said. They're amazing tweets. Unlike Ed, I have no lawyers, PR spin firms, staff, or media training. There's a ton of bots out there talking up Rogers, guys, just so you know. And you guys, this is not her tweet. This is me saying there's a ton of bots out there talking them up, and they're paid for in bots, like MAGA style. Just so y'all know, staff or media, no staff or media training. I don't need it. I'm no one special. Just a fairly ordinary woman put in an extraordinary circumstance. Ted put me on the board as a check and balance to ensure nothing this insane occurs. This is for you, Dad. This is a daughter of Ted Rogers II that is trying to uphold his vision and what he wanted and going against the rogue family member, Ed Rogers III, and doing something that his father would not approve. And she's saying that everything she was doing to fight against him was in honor of her father and what he had done to build the Rogers company up to what it was. Yeah, think about that. Basically, the sisters and the mother are telling the son, you're not doing what dad wanted you to. And that's why we're against you. So you got to understand this. Ed Rogers III is not like Ed Rogers II. And he is not doing what Ed Rogers II wants him to do. That's the thing here. Here's another tweet by Martha Rogers, October the 24th, 2021. Like in a bad movie, Ed and his old guard, this is the old Rogers board members, who used to be allies of Ed II, but then swayed by Ed III to be his cronies and helping him to take the power grab. Like in a bad movie, Ed and his old guard literally meet in dark boardrooms, all men, all white, all old. They think they are masters of the universe instead of thinking about the impact their instability is causing tens of thousands of people. Not this time. Old guard down. That's the mentality of Martha Rogers against her brother. So listen to what she's saying. Power of the people, power to the workers of Rogers Corporation. And we were looking out for you. So, you know, I can't explain this anymore that, you know, I don't want to bring down the Rogers family. I want to prop them up because they're amazing people. It's just the one person who's in charge is an absolute piece of shit. This is what this is, guys. Here's another one. And this is too bad because it didn't turn out to be true. October 24th, 2021. This is all around when the thing with Masai happened and the power struggle that where Ed was trying to finalize capturing the company, which he eventually did later that year. Ed will lose. His play date tonight with the old guard is another waste of time. Rogers and its assets are bigger than any one interest. My father understood that. He'd be so disappointed to see how Ed and his puppet masters are behaving, destroying the company he built. Old guard down. You know, another thing that's interesting about the situation is that the sisters and the mother did not want him to get involved in MLSC at first. They were like, "Nah, we don't really want to do sports teams. Let's just focus on our telecommunications." But Ed Rogers the third was very much into that. Like Ted Rogers second, he did have an interest in the baseball, but just the baseball. Then Ed Rogers the third expanded it to want to be in part of MLSC. And the part of the problem was when the Teachers Pension Board released their ownership stake in the Raptors and the Leafs and MLSC, there was a bidding war between Bell and Rogers for those stakes. And well, because it was getting so out of hand, that is how they came to the decision of doing 50-50 split with Larry having the minority ownership in the middle, because Bell and Rogers were causing so much problems for each other in this very, very nasty dispute over buying the shares and who should be able to buy more shares, that they agreed to do the 50-50 split for the best betterment of both companies. So, you know, that was fine up until Bell got in trouble and Rogers was able to leverage his position to buy the rest of the shares. And yeah, it sucks that that's how it all went down. There seems like there's a couple of different ways this all could have gone where we would be avoiding this situation with what's happening right now. But alas, a very greedy, power hungry person with the right people advising him, he's not smart enough to do this on his own, guys. You got to understand that. Has able to put himself in this spot that he's at right now. And sadly, it's going to really strongly affect the Raptors, which is too bad, here's another one from Martha on October 27th. Yeah, Ed's always been a fan of specious claims like Trump won the 2020 election and birthrights. See, this is the sister calling him out for being a MAGA and believing the Trump 2020 election lies. That, you know, this is what we're dealing with, guys. This is somebody who actually does believe that Trump won the election in 2020 to this day. And he's gone down to Mar-a-Lago with his family and taken really gross pictures of himself with the piece of shit that's in the White House right now. I mean, that tells you enough about his mentality right there and where he's at and who he is. You know, another problem with Ed Rogers III is his wife, guys. She's absolutely a crazy piece of work. If you've seen a picture of her, she's like a Stepford wife, blonde, all done up in certain ways, totally wearing couture and just looking like a freaking Hilton sister, that Barbie doll kind of shit. And the thing about her is she's absolutely a bitch. Yeah. She's somebody who's very power hungry and always trying to exert her power on people around her. One of the things she's known for doing is she'll go down to Rogers properties and demand crazy demands from the employees. Like, she's very egotistical. Like, she likes herself. And basically, she wanted the Rogers media people to make little vignettes and film things with her wearing her couture clothing and just kind of humor her, wasting their time and their resources and their energy for her own little stupid wants. And this is very common and often. She's asking Rogers employees and using her power as the wife of the guy to make people have to do stuff they shouldn't have to do and stuff that's absolutely useless and worthless to do. Stuff like that. So yeah, she's a real piece of work. And yeah, that's part of it right there. Let's keep going. Here's another tweet from Martha Rogers. To be fair, Denise, to be fair, Denise, this is her in reply to someone. The only Trump supporters in the family are Ed and Suzanne. Wholeheartedly agree. There's more important things to focus on. So she's saying straight up that nobody in the Rogers family supports Trump except for this idiot, Ed Rogers III, just so you know. So yeah, you can look at the pictures of his family. You can look at the pictures of him and Trump on our Discord server. And yeah, you can see just how creepy and gross they are. You know, so there's a lot to this, man. There's a lot to all this. And in some ways, Masai knew as soon as the Rogers sisters lost their struggle with Ed Rogers in 2021 that the writing was on the wall for him. So if you guys really want to pinpoint the exact time where he knew he might be screwed, is in 2021. As long as, the agreement of the Larry was something that he knew kind of loomed ominously, that Larry would be getting out of the ownership group by a certain age, and it's happening at the end of this year. And that's too bad. In some ways, Larry, he said that I don't really want to leave. I feel great. And, it's true. People have better health than they ever had in the history of mankind because of medicine and longer life expectancy. And, Larry Tanenbaum, even though he's 80 years old, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the faculties and the ability to do certain kind of roles around the organization. And in some ways, man, if they could have made the provisions, but no, legally, he had already signed this like 10 years ago or something like that. They had made a forecasting of the future and saying, well, you're going to be this age at this point. I mean, you shouldn't be kind of running things at this point, Larry. But Larry, in the years leading up to it, say he could see the whole thing happening. In some ways, maybe some of it was Tanenbaum was saying, I don't want to leave because I love Masai. And I think Masai has done such a good job and I will stay here to protect him. Because in some ways, that was maybe one of the most important jobs Larry Tanenbaum had in the last 13 years was to protect Masai from Ed Rogers III. I mean, seriously, guys. Now, this is a big subject. I said a lot just now in the last half hour about Ed Rogers and his family. If you guys have any questions about the whole situation, I have a bit more information on all of it right here. Now, the thing about the title, he cut his nose to spite his face. Well, I truly believe that his vengefulness and his grudges against very successful people around him, like Muhammad and Masai, is something he's so stupid for. These are innovators. These are people good at their job, talented people that absolutely brought value to your huge company and made you money. But because you have a little small man's mentality, you have to lash out in power and say, well, just because you're good, I'll destroy you. It's like seeing a beautiful plant in your yard and saying, you're so beautiful and awesome and perfect. But you know what? I'm going to chop you down just because I can't stand that you exist and next to me. That's what this is. If he was smart, he would keep the absolute best people at each position, like Masai, like Muhammad, and he would just sit back and roll in the money. But he's stupid. And he lets his own personal get in the way of business. And that's why I said, Ed Rogers, you're an idiot. In some ways, the decision you made 2 days ago, and let's not get it twisted, the decision you made, not Keith Pelly, is absolutely going to cost you serious money in the next few years. And you're already feeling it immediately. You're going to feel it even more because in some ways, people won't forget this. Masai Ujiri is somebody who made a huge impact on many, 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 many people's lives. And they see exactly what this is a racist piece of shit having a power grab and just flexing his muscle in a narcissistic way and not even thinking about his own bottom line and doing it. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And it's that kind of energy that's running the United States in the ground right now. That's right. All right, let's see what y'all are saying in the comments. I've done my half-hour spiel at the beginning. I hope I kind of illuminated some things for you guys about the whole dynamic of the Rogers family and understanding that the sisters are not like him. The mother was not like him, and his father wasn't even like him. Maybe there was some cutthroat business in Ted Rogers II, but he was always balancing it with thinking about his employees also. That's something that Ed Rogers III does not do. Let's just put it that way. And if you felt like Rogers as a company has gotten shittier in the last 15 years, well, there's your reason why right there. Is Ed Rogers II died in 2008. There's been a lot of changes and shifts since then. That's right. All right, let's see what y'all are saying. Naco the Nacho saying, thank you, Garrett Temple, for re-signing. Yes, yesterday we got the news that Garrett Temple has re-signed with the Raptors for a third year on a $1.5 million veteran minimum, which is fantastic. I think it's 1.5. It may be a little bit more. Let me go check. Once again, I want to be able to find stuff easy. So let's see. Where is it? No. I posted it somewhere in here, and once again, it's hard for me to find anything in the Reddit because you guys are just inundating it with so much. Not the Reddit, the Discord. So much stuff on here, guys. So much stuff. Just talking. Put that talk stuff in there, man. Seriously. Put that talk stuff in there, guys. Okay, he signed for $3.6 million. That's the veteran minimum for Garrett Temple for this year. Thank God. That's great. We got locked in Garrett Temple, fantastic mentor for our kids on our team. And he will continue to be in that role. And Darko's right-hand man in some ways as a player coach. That's right. James is saying Raptors interested in Ben Simmons on a vet minimum. Thoughts? Can he play backup center? This is an interesting question. I'm going to say, first of all, I don't think he can play backup center correctly. I would want him on our team for a few reasons. I know that Scotty likes him. Scotty's talked him up on his stream. He said Ben Simmons is awesome. I don't understand why people don't like him. Of course, Scotty has a proclivity to like Montverde guys, and that's part of it. I don't want him on our team. I think that he's on the no come to Toronto list, and is basically because he has bad habits. He is he's not a good person for our young players to be around. We don't need Ben Simmons rubbing off on the young Raptors. Seriously. That's like the opposite of Siakam. Siakam shows up every morning at a certain time in the morning. He's going to show a good standard of things to learn from. In fact, let's say happy birthday to Kawhi Leonard today. Somebody who came in for a year and played for the Raptors and taught a lot of the guys around him new extra stuff about how to be a pro. Let's think about this with Ben Simmons. He's going to be one of the older players on the team if he comes here. Yeah, it's that point with him in his career. And we don't need any of these young guys on our team that are 25 and under to take any kind of professional advice from Ben Simmons. So that's the huge reason why there. It's not only because he's washed, like Nako's going to say in the next comment, but also because he'd be a horrible influence on our young Raptors. So this is a no-go. That rumor made me laugh when I saw it this morning on Reddit. I'm like, yeah, no, this ain't happening. This ain't happening. Now, if we see this happen or something weird like this, I'll be like, yeah, Rogers is tripping. And they're running our team in the ground already. You know, this is going to be the energy a lot more. You know, everybody who thinks that I've been so nice to the Raptors and really positive towards them, part of it is because of Masai, because I really did trust what he was doing, and I gave him the benefit of doubt on all kinds of things. But this is going to be a new era of Raptor Freak Channel, because with Masai out of the way, I'm going to be way more analytical and critical of the team and what they're doing, because I don't totally trust it right now. And in some ways, I may be saying things that y'all have not heard me say ever on this channel. And it may sound negative. But once again, my heart is in the right place. I'm trying to make sure we're doing things right and steering on the right course now that our captain has been dismissed. And that's the thing. That's the thing about it. I may be a little bit more critical and not as totally positive about Raptors things, because I want to make sure we're holding them to a standard of what we're supposed to be doing as a franchise. In some ways, I give a lot of credit and leeway and leash to Masai, but he's not here anymore. And in some ways, we got to understand. I have a lot of faith in Bobby. Don't get me wrong, but if his position is shifting and changing, then, you know, in some ways, we got to understand how that's going to change the whole hierarchy and how the teams run. Now, there's interesting names being floated around for the job to replace team president Masai, and there's a couple that I actually don't mind. There's some really weird ones. Now, some people have pointed out that they don't think some of these people will get hired because they're people of color. And that may very well be true. Once again, I'm going to say this right now. Rogers, I'm going to call you racist right now, Ed Rogers III. And I'll dare you to replace Masai Ujiri with a black man as the team president of the Raptors. I dare you to do it. I dare you. I dare you to just promote Bobby Webster. How about that? I think that's the best option. Is just promote them to up. Grange highlighting, saying there is a very strong possibility that this could happen. Tweeting yesterday that Bobby Webster is strongly being considered to be the next team president of the Raptors, and Dan Tolzman to move up to being the GM. And I think that's the best option right now, because I don't want an extra person coming in regardless. But there's a couple of names that have been mentioned recently that are absolutely intriguing. And one of them is Dwayne Casey, guys. What if they rehired Dwayne Casey as the team president of the Raptors? Now, he's kind of already doing this kind of work for Detroit. We know how Dwayne is. Dwayne has a real true passion for Toronto, guys. The work that he put in as a head coach here is legendary. In fact, I give him a lot of credit for our championship, even though he was not the coach of our championship. He was the guy who built it all up. And he's shown a really good, astute ability in Detroit. His fingerprints are all over the reason why the Pistons made the playoffs this year. So I think that he would, and also he's worked with Bobby before. He's worked with everybody before. He was our coach for like 8 years. So his familiarity with Toronto and his respect for the franchise would make me trust him. And this is the other thing. Casey got fired as coach of the year from the Raptors. In some ways, he's the kind of person that, he could very easily have a grudge against us. But like DeMar, he's turned the other cheek. He's bigger than it. He's a very powerful, strong man. And he's shown affinity towards us in the last couple of years. Even though he's been working for Detroit, he's shown up in Toronto quite a bit. And he's been on our cameras, and he's embraced his history with the Raptors. I don't feel like there's any hard feelings between Casey Ujiri and the Raptors or DeMar Ujiri and the Raptors at this point. So I would trust Dwayne Casey to come back in a new title, and a very, very prestigious title, and kick some major ass if he was given this position. And I feel like he'd do a good job of being a tough, hard ass for the team in the right way between Bobby Webster and Keith Pelly. And that's why I say pound the rock in the president's office, man. If Dwayne Casey wants that job, give it to him. Seriously. Another name that's come up is Mark Eversley. Mark Eversley has been running the Bulls the last few years. And don't hold things against him. It's Lonzo Ball's fault. Come on now. Who got traded. That's the crazy thing. They traded Lonzo for Isaac Okoro yesterday to Cleveland. And in some ways, the whole Lonzo Ball Chicago Bulls era has been a fail. Absolute fail. But Mark Eversley, who has roots from Toronto, he's Canadian also, has been rumored to be possibly on this list. I think that he would be a suitable candidate and somebody that I would trust also with his history with our team, his background of working with Masai and Bobby from before, and, his familiarity with Toronto and the Raptors. Those are two names I like so far. There's been some interesting names that are floated around. And those two are, they're both people of color. Well, I'll call you out, Ed Rogers III. You fucking racist. You going to fire a bunch of people of color and just hire white people in their places? Are we going to have a new white sideline reporter for Sportsnet this year? Yeah, I'm calling you out. I'll see this visually, and I'm going to see what you're doing. If you are anti-DEI like MAGA face, fuckface Donald Trump down there. That's what I'm saying. They're right there. Nako saying, ew, for real, though. We already have enough good passing forwards. We don't need another one, especially one that's washed. Yeah, in some ways, we don't really need what Ben Simmons has. And the crazy thing is I still think we need more shooting. But I'll tell you what. I want to say something right now. Let's go look at the Instagram stories real quick. We had our guys down at TFC yesterday. It's our two rookies that we just drafted. Number one pick, first-round pick, Colin Murray-Boyles. Second-round pick, Elijah Martin. Down at TFC at BMO Field on the field with the TFC jerseys on. They look happy, man. These guys, listen, if they were kind of all right, I'm a Raptor, they didn't understand what they were getting into. And it's been a whirlwind that just the first 48 hours of being a Raptor for both these guys. Because look, you know what they did? They made a Colin Murray-Boyles shirt immediately at Real Sports. You can go by and get it. It says CMB on the back, and it has fuck on the front of it because it's commemorating his draft. And it's kind of smart by the Raptors to do this, is to make a really weird kitschy item like this to commemorate the moment of him reacting that way. It makes it light. And in some ways, I bet Colin's absolutely flattered that the Raptors already made a shirt for him within 24 hours of becoming a Raptor. That's probably really kind of does feed his ego and be like, wow, this is really cool being in Toronto. It's really, really cool because the guys look like they're jubilant at this game and being out on the soccer field and getting introduced as the new Raptors draft picks. The other thing I noticed about the two of them is they look like burly men that will kick your ass. Seriously, Murray-Boyles and Martin have arms. And they look like they're going to be very physical players in the NBA. I mean, the highlights from college have already shown that from South Carolina and Florida. That these guys are very physical players. And you look at Elijah Martin's arms. You're like, yeah, that dude is strong as fuck. But I love seeing them at the TMC yesterday. Colin Murray-Boyles putting it on blast. He was also cited wearing a Toronto Tempo shirt, which is really cool. A picture of him with Nav Bhatia in a Toronto Tempo shirt. And Teresa Resch noticed it. And she noticed it. That's right. There's a CMB shirt, y'all. You may want to get it just for posterity and his entrance to the team. That's pretty awesome. Elijah Martin posting him taking the field with Colin. I'm telling you, these two East SEC guys love it, man. They really, I can tell their energy is really impressed, and they feel like they're coming to a world-class international organization. This is a big deal, young man. Seriously, don't take this frivolously. Don't drop the ball on this Raptor stuff. Seriously, you guys are going to go far if you do the work right. You're in the right place. Trust me. You're in the right place. Jonathan Mobo putting players only on blast. It looks like players only sneakers, always putting them on blast in different ways. Inspired by fear of being average. That's what Mobo is inspired by. Jamal Shed is reposting Emmanuel quickly, and he's saying, "Who are you when nobody is watching?" Ooh, Norman Powell still doing cool stuff with clothing in France and kids and signing autographs and working out and doing all these stuffs. He's putting on blast cheese pizza, cheese balls. I don't know what that is. That's crazy. What is that? That's really like little Cheeto balls that are like cheese pizza Cheeto balls. That's crazy, Norman. What are you doing, man? That's a side promotion right there. That's right. Toronto Tempo are involved in the Pride Parade today, guys. Today's Toronto's Pride Parade, and they are down in the float. They're going to have a parade float in the Pride Parade today. Toronto Tempo fully embracing DEI and woke culture and good things. And in some ways, I'm telling you, if that stuff goes away with the Raptors, the Tempo will be the people leading this kind of energy. If Ed Rogers didn't want the Toronto Tempo to exist, well, they do, because the Kilmer Group and Teresa Resch. And, if he doesn't want certain energy around the Raptors and MLSC anymore, well, Kilmer Group, Teresa Resch, it's your opportunity to jump into that segment of the market and steal a whole bunch of money that was going towards Raptors and MLSC, especially if he turns off that faucet on being a politically correct kind of organization. Yeah, Tempo, you're going to have a big market share soon, and I'll be coming. In fact, if things get really bad with Rogers and the Raptors, the Tempo Freak will become more of a percentage of who I am on this channel, guys, just so y'all know. Yeah, there's the picture of Nav with Colin Murray Boyles wearing the Tempo shirt, and that bodes well for Teresa, because could that mean Chloe Kitts could be on the draft chart for her for next year in the inaugural year of the Toronto Tempo? Could Colin Murray Boyles' girlfriend be one of the original Toronto Tempo players? That would be prestigious. I'm telling you right now, just because maybe the first reaction is Canada. Isn't that cold? Yeah, but you could have the opportunity to be part of WNBA history, Chloe, and be a part of the very first squad of women that ever play for the Toronto Tempo franchise. I'm telling you, that's an attractive thing. That's an attractive thing right there. That's right. That's right. Eugene Omaroy looking good with his chain on his, and he's been talking at different places, talking about how you got to work hard, doing some Rico Hines talks at runs in different places, telling them how you can get the NBA and how you got to work hard and do all that kind of stuff. That's what he's out there saying right now. There's Teresa Resch put on blast that they're going to be at the parade today. Here's a special message from Teresa to Masai and saying, thank you, Masai Ujiri, an incredible leader, mentor, and friend. Can't wait to see what he does next. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's true. In some ways, the Raptors internally, they made one post and they kind of did a couple things. Thank you, Masai. But for the most part, most of the Raptors and the people involved in the Raptors aren't saying jack shit, because they know that Ed Rogers III may be looking for allies of Masai and being punitive in stupid ass ways going further. So I totally understand why nobody in the organization is doing it. But yeah, Teresa Resch, Justin Trudeau, Nab Bhatia, yeah, they're coming with the energy and the love, like I am for him. Teresa was back in Minnesota, guys, and talking at the National Ag in the Classroom convention, and as the president of the Toronto Tempo. So very, very cool. She got to have a homecoming and coming on official status as Toronto Tempo president, talking to people there in Minnesota. Ulrich Schromsche, once again, putting on blast other players from around the league. And today it's Ayush Missy. He's putting on blast right now. Let's see. There's Ava B. Hoopin. Coach Andrew Jones has got his daughter out there working full court with a group of 5-on-5 going on out there. That's cool. They got the kids out there playing basketball. And there's Jared Roden with his lady, his love, my love, and she's wearing a Yankees hat. That's bad. That's bad taste. There you go. All right, there's your Instagram stories for today. Yeah, I love that the rookies are having a great weekend being at TFC, and I love Colin Murray Boyles in a Toronto Tempo shirt. I really do. I love that. That's right. Shere Khan's here. Good to see Shere Khan, Raptor Freak Rookie of the Year in the past. I have been in banking and finance for over 2 decades now. I know exactly what these corporations stand for. Much like private equity, corporate interest is only concerned with immediate returns only. Yeah, they don't have any foresight for long-term things like sustainability. And that's the biggest faux pas in capitalism today. is that, you know, the money you make now in the short term is very fleeting. And this is the thing. People are destroying things that have been made over thousands of years in the name of making a short-term profit. I mean, only idiots destroy something that's beautiful and amazing that took so long to create, which is the earth, to make something that's imaginary and stupid, that's all made up in a lot of ways, guys. I mean, I know it's the basis of our systems, but why? You know, we could be doing anything. It used to be wampum, right? Or something like that. I'm trading beads, you know? We could be doing so much. It's just gotten so out of control and out of hand. And once again, I say one of the biggest fights in this world is not just a class war between the ultra rich and the corporations and everybody else. It's also a fight between love and humanity and money. It really is. Either you're a very money centric person that's absolutely a piece of shit, or you're a person that's for people and you have a humanistic heart that cares about people having okay lives and being happy and people being fed and having houses and stuff like that. It's the difference between being a predatory landlord that buys up all the rental properties and the downtown core and gouges people, and the difference between having free housing and free healthcare and all this kind of stuff. It's the garbage capitalists that want to take away our free healthcare and start charging us for our pain and misery and our health problems. That's the thing we're up against. It's a very basic fight. It's, are you for people, humanity, and people being okay, and all of us, or are you just a selfish, greedy ass motherfucker that only cares about an imaginary money system that we made up? That's the war right here. And everybody could self-analyze themselves on their percentages. Well, I am this much capitalist and money oriented, but this is the part of my life that's more important. My family, my friends, and my community being safe and strong and healthy. That's the difference. Because if the people that are the 1% and the corporations have their way, this is not healthy. Nothing's healthy. They're just looking at numbers on a page, and they're not thinking about the human impacts. And that's the difference right there. Shir Khan, thanks for your comment. And yeah, he understands his decades in banking and finance. Yeah. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam. Been in Montreal since yesterday for my daughter's tournament, but keeping informed on the Discord platform, I'm still in shock about how Masai was let go. Actually disgusted. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is something we shouldn't let go. And it's funny because the Raptors have been posting other stuff and trying to be happy. And they're posting pictures of those guys at the TFC game yesterday. And everybody in the comments say, nah, you're moving on too fast. You fucked over Masai. They're coming at them still in the comments. You know, you're not going to let us forget about this. No, you're trying to move on. You're trying to make us forget. No, we ain't going to forget. We're going to continue to come at you with this energy about why the fuck did you fuck over Masai? And I love Raptors Nation for this. You know, we're amazing. In some ways, we are toxic and we're fucked up. And we do some fucked up shit sometimes, but we're also very powerful and we're very, very passionate. We are. You were right, Brian Winders. We're very passionate up here and sensitive. Yeah, we can be sensitive. And we're sensitive to the fact that they got rid of a good man that did nothing wrong and we love. And he built this team to get a championship in 2019. You discarded him like trash on Friday morning, Keith Pelly and Ed Rogers. Yeah, we can't ever let them let go of that. No, we won't let go of that, and they can't stop hearing it. And I would say to Raptors fans, you continue to do this. Don't let up. Let's not ever forget this. Let's hold on to this grudge, and let's continue to put it in their fucking faces for years and years to come. In some ways, we should never get over this because this is one of the most ridiculous, stupidest moves a sports franchise has ever done in the history of sports franchises. It saddens me to say that the Raptors did one of the stupidest, dumbest things in the history of sports franchises, like what they did on Friday morning. So I say to all Raptors fans, if you're already doing this, continue. There's no expiration on this. Y'all can go at Keith Pelly and Ed Rogers III for the rest of their life. Do it. I implore you to do it. Seriously. And you know, when you guys are in those comments and other things for Raptors related, and you're coming in and saying Masai this, Masai that, keep that energy up. Seriously. When I see it, I'm like, yeah, you're my people. You're my people. I love y'all for that. Don't ever let this go. Fiercely. Don't ever let this go that Masai was let go. Don't ever let this go. That's right. Ben Simmons, garbage. Yes. Do not bring him here. That's all true. All true right there. Shirkan say no real morals, no real concern for the sense of belonging and love of culture, no real concern for long-time consequences of action. Masai, even as a part of this system, was different and we loved him. He was a humanity inside of a very cold, calculating, capitalistic corporation. He was humanity in it, and you can't fake that shit. I don't know what they're saying. Keith Pelly's saying, "Oh, he built a culture, he built a legacy. Let's see if it sticks." Well, motherfucker, if you don't have that energy, the heart, and the humanity of Messiah in it, you won't be able to keep it, because that was part of what it was the dude emanated it. The dude was the epicenter of it. The dude was the feel and the culture, and you don't even understand that. You don't even understand that. You have no idea what you guys did. You had one of the best assets in the NBA, and you guys just let it go in one of the stupidest moves I've ever seen in Toronto sports history. And we all see it. The fans see it. The media sees it. The people inside the organization see how stupid this is. And all for feeding the petty ego of a fucking piece of shit Nepo baby named Ed Rogers III. That's all this is. The only thing this served was just feeding his fucking ego. That's the only thing that benefited in this. Nothing. His company didn't benefit for it, and nothing else did. Just Ed Rogers got to smile a little bit. Yeah, he got Masai finally. That's all that he benefited from this shit. Seriously. Fiercely saying, "Oh my God, these family pictures of Ed Rogers III." Yeah, throw up. Yeah, I feel bad for those kids. I just hope that Ed Rogers IV is a rebel, is a guy who has the good genes in the Rogers family. Maybe he can be like, I fuck you, Dad. I hate you. You fired Masai, man. And Masai was awesome. I love basketball. Fuck you, Dad. I hope that's the energy from Ed the fourth that's coming up in the family. But maybe he's just a silver spoon little shit like his dad, and he's just as shitty as his dad. I don't know. We can only hope. We can only pray that Ed the fourth. In fact, he's not the oldest child. His daughter is. Ed Rogers, you going to screw over your eldest child, the daughter, for your son? I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, Edward the Fourth. I think you should be a rebel, son. You're getting into those teenage years. Be a rebellious young son. And you know what? Be more like your aunts. How about that? Be more like your aunts and not like your dad. How about that? Maybe there's some hope for the Raptors then. I mean, Ed Rogers is 55. Man, I wish he was older than me, way older than me. Then I'd have more life ahead of me, ahead of him. Let's just say that. Oh my gosh, Trevor J is returned to the chat, guys. Commissioner of Fun, Trevor J, we have missed you dearly on your absence the last few days, and I'm just glad that you're okay. Let's see what he's saying. Here's Trevor's words of wisdom. You will never win the battle on your own. God has to be present for you to win the evil forces in this world. I have the trust in God's words and believe you will need him today. Man, that's right. God's strength can get you through some tough adversity, and your faith in God that you will get through anything is very, very strong, and it's real. It's real. And I don't know what happened with Trevor in this last week, but God was with him. I know that. That's for sure. Thank you for your words of wisdom, Trevor J. And oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you in the chat this morning, man. So happy to see you. Shirkan saying, whenever there is a board of directors coming into the picture, the immediate forecast kicks in and they don't think about long-term. Raptors need a leader who cares to get back into title contention. Yeah, I hope that, you can't run a sports team like this. You can't. You really do have to have a long-term future and thinking, and you can't be knee-jerk and reaction and not giving enough time for things to set in. That's the biggest foible and problem and failure for NBA teams. Is they move too quickly and all over the place and shuffle up things too often and too fast. And they don't actually allow their cores and their rotations to get set in ways where that helps them to be successful. There's way too much impatience. And in some ways, that may be part of the corporate world that's not going to work with the sports franchise building world. Is, they can't look at short-term games. In some ways, this is exactly right what Shirkan's saying. You have to have a long-term vision. And if you have different people coming in and changing that vision to different things in the short term to fit the short term frame, you're going to fuck your team up. That's one of the things I loved about Masai and Bobby. They had a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year vision. And golly, I wish he had gotten that amount of time running this team continuing. Masai Ujiri is a young guy. He could have ran our team for another 20, 30 years. This is why this is so stupid, guys. And why couldn't, I wonder about this. Here's another canary in the coal mine, Wayne Embry. Wayne Embry has been around our team as an advisor since basically the turn of the century. He's one of the pioneers of the NBA. He's been involved in all kinds of different struggles in the early NBA with union rights for the players and rights for black players. And Wayne Embry is a stalwart, important kind of emeritus, Wayne Embry scholarship, all that stuff. I wonder if he's going to still be around the team now that Masai's gone. I have no idea. In some ways, why couldn't Masai go into the position of being like Wayne Embry at some point? If you really don't want him in that position, is there some way we could restructure things so that he could still be an advisor and have a role in the team like Wayne Embry, and kind of have his fingerprints and his ability to take responsibility for the success of the Raptors and say, yeah, I'm still involved. I'm still here as an advisor. There could have been some levels of, no, Ed Rogers hates him. He can't have him around in any kind of capacity. One of the most talented, most able people that ever worked for the Raptors. He gets dismissed for no good reason, and he's a good asset, and he had the heart and the will to want to work for us for the rest of his life. And this fucking guy discarded that like it's nothing. Seriously, he's an idiot. He's absolutely an idiot, man. Absolutely an idiot. Let's see. Wayne's saying, morning, Raptor Freaks. Ah, boy. Ben Simmons, do not post any more of his garbage. It's Sunday. Please don't start way too early with this nonsense. Wayne Schrader, I appreciate you, Sergeant at Arms. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, in some ways, it's like, I get that you guys want to talk, and I get that Discord was made for discourse. But also at the same time, I'll give you that channel. You can do it in there. Let's use the basketball channel for breaking news and information, and not so much for opinion. That's what I want. Like, I'll post Garrett got signed. I'll post information about the Rogers family. But if you guys are just talking about trades you want them to make, or you're talking about players that we could get, do that in the speculative channel, please. Because in some ways, for practicality's sake, then I can find things to source on this show when I'm live, and I don't have to scroll like 20 fucking all day just to scroll through shit. That's kind of my plea here, guys. And Wayne, I can use your help as Sergeant at Arms. So you definitely can regulate because you have a good sensibility on this. MJ saying, yep, my friend worked 23 years for Rogers and was given a package to leave. Same happened to many colleagues who worked 20 plus years. She's convinced it wouldn't have happened under his father's helm. Yeah. Yeah, because he was a humanitarian and he cared about his employees. And honestly, that's good business. There's a lot of dumb ideas in capitalism that if you just want to maximize things, do shit like Amazon and time everybody's bathroom and penalize employees for taking extra seconds for being in the bathroom and shit like that. That's the kind of thing we're in right now. And they wonder why nobody wants to work. If you take care of your employees, a lot of companies do better because they're doing innovative, interesting things like, remote work and even like cutting down hours. Some companies are actually telling employees that we only want you to work like 15 hours a week and we'll pay you the full salary, because we find that people are able to be more effective when they're happier. And when these big corporations are just grinding the blood out of a rock to get as much as they can for profits, they're really screwing up their productivity, because happy employees do way better and work better for companies. And the companies that do the best, the companies that are at the top of Fortune 500 and the ones that are doing the best are the ones that have more progressive ideals about how to run the company. Because that's the thing. If you take care of your people, you keep good people, first of all, and they do better job. And second of all, they're happier. They want to do better job for you and they work harder. If you jade your employees, make them feel like they're not, being appreciated, well, you see what you get. And that's what I'm saying right here. There's no loyalty to people that were with that company for 20 years. And that's what I'm saying right there. And I believe this is exactly right, that Ed Rogers II would never, ever conduct a business like his son, the third. And he, like we said, he's rolling over his grave, is seeing what a fucking piece of shit his son has become and what he's done and how he's torn that family apart. I don't think Ed Rogers II would be happy with this. I think that since he won the power grab in the end of 2021, basically the distance between him and his sisters and his mother just grew. And then sadly, his mother died the next year. And, who's going to make up this rift between Martha and Melinda and Lisa and Ed Rogers III? Who's going to make that rift up? That rift will never be made up. And in sad way, this is Ed Rogers' reward for this, is you don't have your family anymore, you dumbass. Your family hates you. and you and your wife and your kids are kind of on an island alone, yeah, you go ahead and hang out with Trump and other idiots like that, because honestly, your family hates you. And that's sad, man. In some ways, that's very, very sad. Stargate saying, please keep anything about Ben Simmons out of this chat. Don't mention his name again, please. No, it's a valid thing to do, because there is a valid rumor that somebody's saying the Raptors are interested in Ben Simmons. Okay, that just sounds like a lot of the bullshit this summer already. I mean, I would really question this if this shit happened. We could spend the money way better, honestly, if we're going to do that. You know, the Raptors are on an article for ESPN this morning. They came out with free agency cap space fits for all the NBA teams, and we're in an area with we're in the category that's called the first apron teams. And these are teams that are not allowed to use the below roster resources if their salary exceeds the first apron, which is $194.5 million. Use more than 100% of the traded player exemptions. Use a pre-existing trade exception. Acquire a player and sign and trade. Dallas, Boston, Nuggets, Knicks, and us are in this category, but we're like the least above the tax. We're just $250,000 above the tax right now. So yeah, they're saying about us right now, even before the Raptors and Masai parted ways, Toronto was considered one of the wild cards this summer. Though the Raptors don't have the financial flexibility to be active in free agency, they do have their own first-round pick in the next 7 drafts and 5 players earning more than $19 million, including Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett. Their team names are availability, veterans, and a reserve big. Well, we got a veteran. We got a veteran yesterday. Once again, the same one. Now, they're saying our free agents who fit. These are the free agents they're listing, guys, for the Raptors. This is a very interesting list. Chris Paul. I don't know. He's a little old. I don't know if Chris wants to come to Toronto at this time. What do you guys like the fit with Chris Paul as a backup point guard for us? I think we're good at point guard now. I don't know if we need another point guard. Malcolm Brogdon. Well, that motherfucker didn't choose us before. Why would we choose him now? So fuck you, Malcolm Brogdon, wherever you are. You're in Washington, right? Larry Nance Jr. He's an athletic big. He's interesting. He's not totally horrible. If we had Larry Nance Jr. coming in all of a sudden, I wouldn't be upset. He's okay. Al Horford? Al Horford's so old. Why would he come to Toronto at this point? That man should have retired after the championship. He came back for 1 year. But yeah, now he's a free agent and he's not going to be going back to the Celtics. Well, I don't know if Al Horford in Toronto is the right move, although he may actually fit what we need as a veteran big backup. Seriously, so he might not be horrible. Luke Cornett, speaking of another backup Celtics player big, Luke Cornett would be interesting. I wouldn't be totally against it. He would fit a lot of stuff. He has good NBA experience. He's not a project at this point because he's kind of been built up. And he is definitely a rim protector and a good size kind of guy to have around. So I wouldn't be upset with this one. Kevon Looney of the Golden State Warriors, another veteran who's been around a while and maybe a little bit like Al Horford. I don't know. I wouldn't be upset. He's got a lot of veteran experience, of course, a championship pedigree. And, he's just a certain kind of a role player that actually could really help the Raptors. Dennis Schroeder. They put Dennis on this list to come back to Toronto. I don't know. I mean, I don't see that happening. We don't do boomerangs here. Russell Westbrook. Now, I don't think we need Russell Westbrook. I'm going to just say this right now. Like, seriously, can we get Russell Westbrook for really cheap and where we are with our cap? Probably not. And I would say this. We don't need Russell Westbrook because we got Elijah Martin. So I'm just going to say that. We don't need Russell Westbrook because we got Elijah Martin. And honestly, he's doing what Russell did when he was young now. Dunking on people at 6'1" over like 2 or 3 people like it's nasty. Like putting it on top of multiple people's heads. This man gives posters out. I'm just saying. And because he's 6'1", it looks so badass and impressive when Elijah Martin goes up and throws it down on their heads. So I'm just saying, we don't need Russell Westbrook because in some ways, the thing I like about Russell Westbrook was the crazy way he used to dunk on people. Well, we got Elijah Martin. That's why. Luke Kennard. That's not a bad look. Luke Kennard is a good shooter. And, he might be good to add to the shooting core. That's right. Mason Plumlee. Nah, we don't need this guy. This guy's just a goon. He has hardly any skills. I mean, he is a backup big. So he does fit our need. But if we got him, I'd be very underwhelmed. And I'd be like, yeah, we could have done better. Maybe like a Cornette or a Horford or a Looney is way better. way better than that. Now, this is the one I actually like the most on this list is Trey Lyles. I like the idea of Trey Lyles coming to the Raptors as a free agent because he's Canadian, because he's a good backup big, because he can shoot threes, because he was on Team Canada at Paris last year, because also he could fit the bill for a lot of different things that we need right now. So if there's anybody on this list, Bobby Webster, that you're actually looking at, Trey Lyles is the guy I would like out of all of them. He's the one. He's the one out of this list. Brendan Carlson's also on this list, which anyway, the one move that ESPN is saying we should make this offseason is to sign Ochai Agbaji to a 3-year, $39 million extension. That's interesting. So they think we should lock down Ochai after his great growth after last year. There you go. Key free agent, Chris Boucher. And that's it. That's what ESPN's saying about us on their apron check-in with free agency and what's possible for the Raptors. Trey Lyles. That would be a good look, honestly. If we could finagle some sort of Trey Lyles, something, yeah, I'd be all about that, man. I would be all about that. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, James is laughing. Let's see. Fiercely saying Trevor J is back. That's right. That's an awesome thing. We love Trevor J so much, and we're very happy he's okay. That, we could have been, I would have been a little worried about him. Stargate saying, I remember Blackhawk and another Zazu Space member, Lily, cussed me in Zazu Space one time for saying that certain entities were working to get NBA basketball out of this country. Laugh out loud. Yeah, that's out there for sure, but we don't know how powerful they are in certain ways and what they will do. And, well, we'll just have to see. Stargate, I don't want to talk things that are negative in the future. In some ways, we have to believe there's a will, there's a way, and positive things will happen for us too. I know that some of the things that have happened this weekend are very daunting and negative. But we still got to, we have to balance this. We are Raptors fans that want positive things for the team. And even if things are a little bit overshadowed in a bad way with a little dark right now, we still got to pick up the pieces and go and move forward and still try and do what we do and what our mission statement is as the Raptor Freak family. So we got to remember that. And we can get pessimistic. We can understand the parameters of things, but let's not put so much of our focus on it. And let's allow for growth and positive things to happen. I think that half the Raptor freaks have been doom and gloom like you and I have been, and we're exactly right. But also half the Raptor freaks have been right when they're saying, guys, it's not so bad. We're going to be all right. We have a good team. We have a good team core. Bobby's still here. We got to count our blessings still and still aim high and still aim for what we want as a franchise and as a fan base, which is the next one of those. So, yeah, we have to do that. That's right. 3.6 million for Garrett. That's right. 3.6 million. Yeah. Yeah. Trevor's saying, sorry for being away for so long. I had to go take care of a problem. I have to fire a contractor doing a project for me in the Caribbean. I'm not going to give you more details on that. I want on that project. Okay. I mean, that's very interesting. So Trevor was firing someone in the Caribbean, a contractor, not doing a job correctly. Oh, it's heavy stuff, man. This is some Ric Flair stuff right here. Woo! High profiling. He's jet flying and high profiling, and he's firing a contractor for not doing a job right. Wow. Smooth saying, what role would he even play on the team, Simmons? Well, he wouldn't start. I don't know. He'd just be like colorful clothes wear on the bench. I mean, seriously, this is not something we need. And Reggie's like, yeah, why would we even get him? I'm like, yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. I mean, that dude, I thought he would like, okay, you're not paying me as much anymore. You can only pay me $1 million a year. I'm going home then. I think he's got that kind of energy. That's it. Yeah. Stargate saying, boy, did they go in on me at the time saying it's impossible, doing all kinds of splaining to push back. I lived to see Blackhawk make a comment yesterday about the team going to Buffalo. Yeah. Well, let's not make this up. Once again, Stargate, I know you have a proclivity for calling people out singularly. And I don't want any Blackhawk versus Stargate kind of stuff. I understand you're keeping receipts about what people said and stuff like that. And everything you're saying is fair. But once again, we've covered this issue and subject before in the past, and it's not likely that the Raptors will go anywhere. It's not likely the Raptors will run out of business. It's not likely the Raptors will move from our city. And that's really good. This isn't kind of a Vancouver thing. The Raptors, in some degree, will always make a profit. And that's enough for them to stay alive and be all right. Now, if they sabotage our team on purpose to make it worse and worse and it goes down in value, If it gets to a critical point and we're close to that and we're worried about it actually realistically leaving, maybe I'll talk about it then. But right now, they're healthy and they're going to be fine. And even Blackhawks saying that, as much as it's a small victory for you, and I understand, yeah, see, I told you so. It's not realistic still, honestly, if you really think about it. Let's see. Fiercey's got Garrett on blast. I love that. I love that. I still got to get you to do the emotes. I got to figure this out. I'm so bad on this kind of stuff, Fiercey. I forget. I'm like, I got to learn the emotes myself. Honestly, that's part of the problem. I don't even know how to do it myself. So it's like, how do I train Fiercey to do the emotes if I don't know how to do them myself? Thank you, Tommy, for making the emotes a long, long time ago. They're still there. They're still there. I hope we don't trade too many people because then we won't have the right emotes. But we do still for right now. Seymour saying, big salute Big Perk, who stands on business and predicts Toronto will be top 6 team in the East this year. I've seen that comment too, Stargate. All right, yeah. Kendrick Perkins has been vocal about this, and I think he's doubled down and said, yeah, I don't care if Masai's out. They'll still be a top 6 team. And they better be. I mean, seriously, Keith Pelly is going to be an asshole. And if they're not successful, he will start cutting people and doing stuff like what sports franchises do. That's part of the thing is we had a cushion of kind of like there's not a lot of pressure. In some ways, y'all can work in a pressure-free environment of trying to make the Raptors better, but like you guys are okay. Larry's looking out for you. But at this point, it's not like that. There is a lot of pressure to succeed at this point. And there may be very cutthroat mentality about, well, you're not doing good enough. And even if other people think you've built and done good enough, in our eyes, you haven't. And that's it. I mean, Keith Pelly's going to let go of Masai like this on Friday morning. Just think about it. Seriously. Just think about what's possible. So, yeah. Stargate saying, I think Casey worked with Darko in the past as well. Well, the thing is, Casey really did kind of step away from the sidelines of coaching at Detroit and became more front office. And in some ways, he's very good at this stuff. I mean, the thing is, Case is a smart guy. And the other reason why I love this hire is because he's not a businessman. And Keith Pelly can say, we're going to hire a businessman. I ruined your long weekend. No, fuck you. Hire Dwayne Casey. He's a basketball person. And he knows basketball. And that's honestly what you want in a team president. You don't need another businessman. You guys got all those businessmen in the board and your corporate bullshit. You don't need a businessman as a team president. Masai Ujiri may have became more of a businessman over his time as the Raptors team president, but he started as a basketball person. And that's where you need to start. That's right. Smooth saying, ideally, Webster or Dwayne Casey get the job. That's my hope. Eversley would be all right, too. Mark Eversley would be all right, too. Yeah. Wayne saying, call me skeptical, but Fuckface said prominent, successful leader of business, and that's not the mold for Casey. I would love that, but it's not happening, Lex. We see fills our downtime. We will see. Well, it's just that in some ways, like these are rumors and they're ideas. And in some ways, we want to state our opinions just in case there is people watching us to see what the fans think. But also we want to, deal with each little news item as it comes. And well, this is a rumor. Dwayne Casey could be considered for the team president job. So we do kind of have to look at it. But if we're looking at it realistically, you may be right. This is not what Keith Pelly said on Friday. And in some ways, also, there's been speculation that Ed Rogers will not be hiring a black person to run the Raptors after Masai Ujiri. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. And, well, that's what we do. We can speculate, listen to rumors first. But most of what we do on this channel is things happen, we react to it afterwards. Garrett Temple got signed yesterday. That's awesome. I love that. Seymour saying Pride Parade. Wait, is that what they call in Caravana now? I hope not. No, there's actually the Pride Parade today in Toronto. It's Pride Month. June is Pride Month in Canada. And here in Toronto, they're having the Pride Parade in downtown Toronto for the Pride celebration. It's totally separate. Caravana is in August, man. So, yeah, we're still in June. So, yeah, I don't know if you're trying to be funny, but I'm not joking about gay and lesbians and stuff like that. I'm an ally. And what they're doing today is powerful and important, especially in today's weird world of MAGA. So, yeah, in some ways, these are the real rebels, the people that have the balls to get out there and be who they are in front of people that absolutely hate them. So, yeah, Pride Parade, all the power to it. And thank you, Teresa, for going down there as the Toronto Tempo. The Raptors don't have a float in there, that parade. They don't. No, they don't. Stargate saying, in my honest opinion, they are who are going to be able to eventually save the Raptors from ultimate doom in the city. And by ultimate doom, you know what I mean. They are I can't understand that, Stargate. You're missing an important word in there. I don't know what it is. Fiercely saying, silly question. What is Bobby Webster's ethnicity? He has Asian features. I may be wrong. I'm just asking. He's not just Hawaiian. He's Japanese. He's Japanese. He is from Hawaii, but his family roots are in Japan. He's half Japanese, guys. Yeah, that's what it is. He's half Japanese, but he grew up in Hawaii, and he's half Asian. Yeah, that's totally true. That's totally true. Din Loud's here. Marketing clouds perception, though. People feel EVs are a good thing, but they have no idea about the environment destruction and devastation caused in production. That's bullshit, Din Loud. You're promoting the oil companies' tropes to go against electric vehicles. This is absolute bullshit. The destruction of the environment by the oil companies is 100,000 times worse. And you're basically taking written speak from the oil companies and a very pointed marketing campaign and echoing it and parroting it. So good, congratulations. You're a mouthpiece for a very expensive lobby that is trying to put out misinformation about things. I have an EV and it's absolutely fantastic. I save gas all the time. It's way better for the environment. And you can talk about the destruction of the environment and the production of it. Well, the destruction of the environment and everything oil based is absolutely much worse. So Din Loud, I'm going to give you a strike for promoting the oil companies' bullshit, and understand that a lot of the information that you're getting is force fed to you from the oil companies to go against clean energy, because they love their racket of making money off people at the pumps. And the future's here. We need to go away from gas. And the oil companies will trick you guys and make you say stupid shit like you just did more and more, because they want people to believe this, because they don't want people to be going towards clean energy. So congratulations. You've been bought and paid for by Exxon, Shell, and all the big major oil companies. That's right. And the Saudis too. There you go. Seymour saying, yes, Bobby is Hawaiian and loves playing from the players from the Carolinas. Did he say that specifically? He likes the players from the Carolinas? All right, let's keep going. Nako the Nacho saying, I think I read somewhere the Knicks were willing to trade the pick they got for RJ, got them RJ for Masai. What? What the fuck are you saying? Y'all are not writing things clearly. You know what? Before you push send, read it out loud and see if you actually make sense in what you wrote. I think I read somewhere the Knicks were willing to trade the pick that got RJ for Masai. Okay, so you're saying way back when they got RJ Barrett that they wanted to straight up trade a first round pick to get Masai to come and run their team. Okay, I kind of vaguely remember that. It's just really awkward the way you wrote that. Seymour saying, I'm with Perk. I think we have a shot, especially if we had drafted a big. But even with CMB, we have a shot at the top 6. Yeah, I think we should be a playoff team. Absolutely. We have to be healthy, though. And let's also see how the schedule is from the NBA. They've been very, very manipulative with the schedule. Last year was a weird one because they gave us all our easy games at the end of the year when we wanted to lose. The year before, they absolutely gave us a shitty schedule before, too. So the NBA is manipulating things on a level of where the schedule we get and how it is. Seriously. So we have to see the schedule. Maybe we're due for a good schedule this year. One that's absolutely a little bit more helpful than we've got in the last few years. They've absolutely been giving us the worst schedule. Seriously. It's seriously bad. Yeah. Thank you, Kareem. Thank you, Kareem. I don't know why you're thanking Kareem right there. I don't remember. Seymour saying, it's weird. Bobby called it a rebuild, but maybe he knew Masai was leaving. No, listen, these are all terms that don't mean jack shit. Like, seriously, rebuild, contending for a championship, that can change like within a month. It's like everybody has time frames. Like, it doesn't matter what this year is going into it right now. You can call it a rebuild, a retool, or whatever. But if we start winning and we're in the playoffs, it's not necessarily a rebuild anymore, right? It's a rebuild towards the next championship. So it's like what level of where we are in the rebuild and stuff like that, I guess. But I mean, it's just a word. It doesn't even mean jack shit. We're like an NBA franchise and we're trying to win. That's all this is. And you have to like change your roster and refresh it and stuff like that. Sure, you can call it a rebuild, a retool, refresh, whatever you want. But like, once again, the other thing is some people get held up. Wait, we're not on the schedule to do this yet. Why did we get Brandon Ingram? That's not on the schedule of a rebuild. Doesn't mean jack shit. We just got a good player and we may get better because of it this year and be a playoff team. So whatever they're labeling we're in, it doesn't matter. It's just a label. We're doing what we do. We're trying to win. And if we start winning this year, we'll go from a rebuild to a playoff team. I don't know who categorizes this and who says this is this and this is this. It doesn't mean shit. It's just words. It's just words. And he said, well, we're in a rebuild. Okay. I mean, a lot of teams are in rebuild. Could you say the Celtics are in a rebuild now that they're shuffling their roster so much this summer? Maybe. I mean, I don't know how to. It's just labels. They don't mean shit. Stargate saying Pelly first said Masai left a legacy they want to try to continue. Then turns around and says legacies are for men like Shakespeare and Churchill. Could have even said Muhammad Ali and Mandela. No, the whiteness and a lot of this kind of stuff is gross. And yeah, it is. You can say whatever. You can say whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can see right through it. You know, the thing I realized in my research for today's stream about Rogers is that Rogers has used Pelly as a hatchet man in the past. He had him come in and negotiate the deal to get the NHL rights for Sportsnet. And Keith Pelly was very much a heavy for him like 20 years ago and a huge thing. So he's absolutely trusted hatchet man for Rogers from the past. And he has a history with him. So it's like Keith Pelly kissing Rogers' ass and doing exactly what he wanted to do on Friday morning. Well, that's an action he's been doing for a long, long time. Let's just put it that way. And, you know, this also tells you a lot of why, you know, the basketball team just didn't get promoted on Rogers' channels like the hockey or the baseball, because the baseball is the family business and the jewel, the one that he actually cares about. Rogers the third loves baseball. He watches the Blue Jays like a hawk. That is the sport he absolutely cares about the most. Hockey is second. And partly it's because he has such exclusive rights to airing hockey in Canada that he makes a lot of money off of the hockey. And the Raptors are an afterthought in this whole thing. That's the thing that worries me the most is, as an owner, Larry Tanenbaum very much cared about basketball in certain special ways. And I don't think Ed Rogers III does. I don't think he does. I really don't. So, yeah, let's keep going. Let's see. Yeah, it tells you a lot about him. The names Shakespeare and Churchill. English white people. That's right. Seymour saying Lonzo to the Cavs is a good move till Garland comes back. Great GM move, unlike our team. Well, let's not put down our team if it has nothing to do with this. I mean, it's a bad move on Friday, but come on. We're not going to, this doesn't become like, okay, Masai's gone. The respect is gone. Let's just start dissing our team. No, that's not what we're doing here. Lonzo to the Cavs is a good move. Prove it. A couple of years ago, the man couldn't even walk. So it's like, how the hell is this a good move? He's still washed to me. He hasn't reclaimed his NBA career. The little bit he played for the Bulls last year was not enough. He hasn't reclaimed his NBA career to me in some ways. Nako saying the best thing about Flag probably is the defense. I've seen CMB get talked about as if he's the best defender, and he's made some good, smart plays in college. CMB could be a steal at 9. No, that's the truth. Like, all the experts are saying the two best defensive players in this draft were Cooper and Collin, the two best defenders in this draft. And that's what I'm excited about. If Colin Murray-Boyles can actually really have a very tangible feel of uptick in our defense this year, and we, like, you know, in some ways there's a lot of similarities to how Scotty defends with him. And if we have two guys that are acting like Scotty out on the court with stocks and blocks, you know, steals and blocks, that's a big, huge kind of added defensive weapon to our team. That makes things a lot harder for other teams. And that's the aspect of Colin that I'm really, really excited to see happen. And I know it's going to happen. But yeah, there's debate and speculation that maybe Colin is a better defender than Cooper. And Cooper's a little bit overhyped. This may be true. That honestly, Murray-Boyles is absolutely the best defender in this draft that we just got. That could very be true. Because, you know, Cooper Flag's a little overhyped at this point. Let's just put it that way. G saying the new draft picks were at Toronto FC game. This Masai firing is overshadowing the good. Good job, Rogers and Pelly. Well, that's in some ways that should overshadow it, and we should let them go. And in some ways, it's a detriment to this young man and them starting their career with us. But in some ways, also, it's like, well, you get what you get, Rogers. And that's what this is. I mean, listen, they're going to wine them and dine them, and they're going to be so happy that they're Raptors by the end of this. Like, they already are. You can tell they've been enchanted by the organization and what they do. You know, young players come into the city and they see the city and they're like, wow, it's so big, it's so clean, it's so awesome and international, and like, man, this is fun. And wow, people are recognizing me on the street and saying, hey, Colin, welcome to Toronto. And they're so nice. You know, they're getting this kind of experience right now. And that's going to help a lot, honestly. There are a lot of things that we do well that will make players love Toronto right away. There's a lot of things to love about our city. Seriously. We don't want to let everything about what we're doing right now be overshadowed by Masai and the thing that happened, for sure. We have to allow space and time, but we don't forget about it. And it still is something we dote and look on and kind of compare. Well, this happened after this. There's going to be a little bit of thing called Masai era and post Masai era. And we're in the post Masai era now, very early in it. And I'm going to say things, well, this would not have happened in the Masai era. And this is happening in the post Masai era. This is, so but we do need to keep track and remember this. And some ways I say never forget Masai is what I'm going to say. It's going to overshadow it, yes, and it should, because this is a huge thing of gravity. And it's a detriment to these young men. I know they didn't get their press conference on Friday because of ugly ass Keith Pelly's sorry ass looking like missing a couple of jeans, Mike Myers' cousin. Yeah. Did I ruin your weekend? What a piece of shit, man. What a piece of shit. No, you didn't ruin my weekend, but Adriana's sister did. All right, let me keep going. Let's see. All right, let's see. Seymour saying your ESPN prediction signings tell me they want us out the league. All those players named would not suit up for us. So F that list. You're wrong. A lot of them would. I don't know if Dennis would come back. Maybe he would. He loved Toronto. I think he would. I think Trey Lyles would come and play for the Raptors. A man from Saskatchewan. The man is the Saskatchewan player in the league. He's from Saskatoon. He's Canadian. So I think Trey Lyles is the best person on the list. In fact, he's young enough that he could have some potential growth with us. He's at the right price, and he's exactly the kind of player we could use. The other great thing about him is he shoots threes, and that would be something that we like. And he's a proven NBA player. He's not a project. He can actually come out and play rotation minutes and play solidly. So Trey Lyles is absolutely the best name on that list, and he would absolutely come to Toronto and play for the Raptors. Don't get it twisted, man. Come on now. He's a West Coast guy like you, bro. He's Central. He's Saskatchewan. Fiercely saying Nance Jr., Cornette, and Looney would be good backups to Jakob. Yeah, those are all fine ones, seriously. And don't get it twisted, Seymour. You'd be surprised. Maybe one of them would come here. Maybe not the Celtics guys. Maybe not Looney. But Larry Nance Jr. might come to Toronto. Yeah, especially since his friend Brandon Ingram plays here. Because they've been teammates on the Pelicans before, right? Nako saying, I genuinely think Bobby is working to keep the culture as is. I'd want Cornette. You could convince me into Looney. Westbrook is probably the best player you mentioned, but I don't know if I'm into it. Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you're into it. Westbrook has to be into it, and I don't know if he would be into it. And that may be the big problem there. He may be the best player, like body of work-wise, but he may not be the most useful player on that list. Sure, yeah, he's a former MVP. He's a guy who's like maybe a Hall of Famer. But yeah, he's the best player on that list, but it doesn't mean that he fits or that we want him or he would want us. That's what I say there. Especially Bobby, in some ways, this is the thing. Bobby's workload just got huge. Like, seriously, if he's going to be a team president and he's going to run like the whole kit and caboodle from the top, that could be great. But that means he's not going to be doing the GM work as much. It'll be more like Masai. And Dan Tolzman will be doing the grunt, calling people and doing stuff like that. In some ways, Bobby's strength is kind of negotiating and being tough and hard asses with the other front offices. So there is a case to be made that we don't want Bobby to be out of the GM spot because he does it so well. And if his duties change, there may be some stuff that gets changed as how we operate because he's not in the same position. So, yeah, it's tough, man. The thing is, Bobby's not the culture guy. The culture guy was Masai. And that's what we're going to feel, guys. We're going to feel the absence of Masai, guys. We're going to feel it. And we're going to point it out, and we're going to put it on blast, and we're going to talk about it all the time. Some people may get sick of me because I'm not going to let go of Masai, guys. I'm serious. I'm going to say this right now. In fact, I may mention Masai Ujiri's name every single day on this stream for the rest of the perpetuity of this stream existing. We may bring up Ujiri's name at least once every day. And just in his honor, and just to kind of come and check in on where we're at this point. Seriously, I don't want to ever let his importance to our team go. And that will be signified by, you guys say, get rid of, top talking about Masai. He's not here anymore. Bullshit. I don't care. I'm going to talk about Masai because his impact is that important. And we will be checking on Masai's culture and how it's doing after he's gone. We'll have to check on this and the different changes that are coming. Stargate saying Cornette is the best fit on that list. Cornette would be interesting. Now, he's slow and he's weird, and he's a Celtic, but he would be an interesting fit. He'd definitely be an interesting fit. Reggie's saying, Horford as a backup 5 with a 3-point shot, unlikely, but the fit is there. Kevon Looney, good, but no perimeter game. Frank Cornette, I like this as well. Trey Lyles or Cornette. I'm telling you, Trey Lyles is the right one. He's in a bad situation in Sacramento. They're in a weird flux that's absolutely upside down. And, like I said, he's already Canadian. We'd add the Canadian contingency. Think about this. If we don't have Chris coming back, Trey Lyles could be one of our Canadian players for next year. So I could see this happening, guys. I could see this happening. If I could keep Chris and just keep Chris out of all that list, I'd do that instead. Yeah, Boucher, we're loyal to you. Don't get it twisted. If we're going to pick a free agent, we want to pick the guy we have to just re-sign, and that's Chris Boucher. That's what I'm saying right there, yeah. Shirkan's saying we need a Common and Noah replacement. We never had them, so how do we replace them? That kind of talent can be found in the undrafted rookie and free agent market. In many ways, Shamshay and Battle are good enough. I like Lyles. Have to keep CB and Oshai. Yeah, I like all that you're saying there. We got our guys after the draft. We had 5 players from this draft, guys, and I'll go over them again real quick just in case people were not paying attention. Of course, Colin Murray Boyles, number 1 first-round pick at number 9. Elijah Martin, our 2nd-round pick at 39. And then immediately after the draft, we signed Chucky Wepner, who's a guard, and he's a really good defensive player. He steals the ball like crazy, man. He's so annoying. In fact, he was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. So we got Chucky Wepner as a 2-way. He's one of our 2-way contracts, so he will be playing for the Raptors and for 905. So check out Chucky. Chucky, yeah, Chucky. Chucky's here. Wepner. Chucky Wepner. Check him out. And then we got Clifford Omarui, who's a center out of Alabama. I think he played for Rutgers also. And he's 6'11", and he looks a lot like Montrezl Harrell. He has the same kind of long hair, and he plays like him near the basket. He's very like windmill kind of like, my arms are very long, and I'm going to throw it in traffic down, and y'all better get the fuck out of my way or you're going to get hurt kind of energy. Clifford Omarui. So we did get a backup center after the draft, undrafted. He'll come to our summer league roster, and hopefully he'll stick around, and he'll be on 905 this year as a possible pipeline as another big. And then the 5th player was Tyson Edenhart, Edengard or something like that, from Boise State. He's a 6'8" power forward that can shoot threes. He's a little bit like Joe Ingles. Let's just put it that way. He's the same kind of body type as Joe Ingles, and he's a prolific 3-point shooter. So we did add a 3-point shooter. These guys will all be at our summer league, and they'll be playing in the summer league team. So you'll see Clifford, you'll see Tyson, you'll see Chucky, and Elijah and Colin. Yeah, the 5 guys we got from the draft, just so you guys know. Those are the undrafted guys we got afterwards, just so you know. There was another player we've signed on for our summer league also that I forget the name that I kind of looked at also. G saying the reason they fire employees after 20 years or once they reach a certain salary was all about money. They don't want to pay the ongoing pension. It's literally all about money. Yeah, it's about screwing your people that did the dedicated stuff for your life and just, money. That's what I'm saying. That's the battle. It's people versus money. And which side do you want to be on in this war in the future going forward? Because honestly, money's consolidating the power right now, and they're making it into a dystopian future where humanity is going to be less and less important. And then you add in the element of AI and new technologies, it could get really, really gross and disgusting fast. Like, let me tell you all a story. I got a speeding ticket in April, and I didn't really know about it because I didn't go check my mail, and it's late. But listen, I got a speeding ticket for going 30 miles an hour. Yeah, that's how fast I was driving. I may have set a record for driving one of the slowest speeding tickets ever. Is that speeding? Going 30 miles an hour? Well, it is if you're going 50 in a 40-kilometer zone, which is this is that's what it is in kilometers. Basically, I got a ticket by a speed camera in a little small town here in Toronto, in Canada, called Pefferlaw, for going 50 kilometers per hour in a 40 kilometer per hour zone. Now, if a cop had seen me doing that in real life instead of a camera, they would have saw me and said, he's going too slow to write up a ticket for him. But the camera reads it this way, and it doesn't have a heart. It doesn't have discernment. It doesn't have a human element. A cop wouldn't pull me over for going that fast in that zone. No, they wouldn't. But the camera is meticulous and doesn't care, and it will cut you. And now I got a speeding ticket for $90. Now I can afford that, and I'll pay it. But there's a lot of people out in society that are getting squeezed in all kinds of different ways. And if they're going to start putting more speed cameras around Ontario and giving people fucked up like speeding bills, the thing is that camera doesn't have to take a break. That camera can be on 24/7, and they can rack up tickets on kind of crazy level. And where does that slippery slope go? We have speed cameras is popping up in different areas. Sure, in a school zone, in a zone where there's a lot of kids playing and people may be speeding too much, this is a great idea to do it. But where does it stop? Do y'all put speed cameras all over the place over time? Do we get to the point where a satellite actually is reading all the cars on the ground's speeds and automatically giving tickets as soon as anyone exceeds the posted speed limit? It's a slippery slope, I tell you, this technology, and it's scary. I got a ticket from a camera for driving 30 miles an hour this week. Yeah, it's a slippery slope. And that's why I'm saying this fight is between humanity and humanistic causes and not trying to fucking shaft the everyday man from being able to have a basic standard happy life. Just for this squeezing of them for profits. That's what it is right there. That's what it is right there. Smooth saying Toronto has to be a top 6 team. If not, there will be more teardown of the old regime. Don't make these speculations, Reggie. Don't make these things. Fuck, Keith Pelly might hear you and be like, yeah, he's right. We need to make sure they're top 6 or we're going to tear it all down. Fuck that, Reggie. Don't fucking make any expectations for them. Let them be who they are and let them just do what they do. And I will fucking promote them to be safe no matter what as possible as I can. Hopefully they'll do successful things and everything will be all right. But don't add any pressure with saying shit like this. They don't have to be anything. They can be exactly what they are. And in some ways, we're going to be what they're going to be, and we'll get what we're going to get. And we're just going to have to see. I mean, they're going to fire Masai for no good reason at all. They don't need a reason to screw people over and get rid of them. If they're going to fire a man who's successful, he had no reason to get fired. So let's not even say that there's stipulations. They could just fire people for no good reason at all, obviously, because the standard has been set on Friday morning. You know, we could wake up and all of a sudden they say, yeah, fire out today, God forbid, the head coach of the Raptors. And it's not for any reason other than Ed Rogers, like, I didn't like how he said something to me. So let's not even have this kind of energy, Reggie. How about that? Because we don't want people having expectations. All the Raptors fans who have expectations for Scotty this year, fuck you. Shut the fuck up and let Scotty do what he does. Everybody who has expectations for Darko as a coach, fuck you. Let Coach Darko do what he does. And that's what I'm saying. We don't have to put this stress on them. We don't have to put these expectations because we have no idea where they're going to land. They could be out of the playoffs. They could be playing. They could be in the playoffs, or they could be a home court team in the playoffs. Any of those places are places. But you starting to come around and saying already, like, oh, if they're not top 6, heads will roll. Fuck that. And don't give them any ideas. And you don't need to be coming in there like Rogers management. No, you don't. Let them be who they are. And they'll be badass any which way. The problem is, if you have expectations, you're going to put expectations. And Keith Pelly's coming in and saying, Bobby, if this team doesn't win 55 games this year, you're out. You know, what do we want this fucking kind of energy and running our team? No, we don't. We want comfort. We want the ability to know, yeah, I'm not under the knife. Larry Tanenbaum's got my back. And that was the luxury of Larry Tanenbaum being in charge. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Reggie saying Mark Eversley hasn't had a good run in Chicago, though. I'm not that big on him. In some ways, I don't care about the results in Chicago because in some ways, that's not totally his fault. Sure, some of it is, but some of it can be adjudicated to the owners. It could be adjudicated to, all kinds of different things. Bad luck with Lonzo. Listen, the only reason why I would like Mark Eversley is because I would trust him. And that may be more important than success to me. I'd rather have a capable person who has their heart in the right place and is coming to be for the Raptors. And I would trust him because he has that like that. I can tell. But, you could say, oh, I'd rather have Bob Myers because he's more successful in Golden State. I wouldn't because I don't trust Bob Myers. So in some ways, we got to figure out what's the more important thing, trust in the person or whether they had super, super good success. Yeah, I wouldn't decide that way. Wayne saying the stream is about Masai and the predictable but abrupt departure. After he gets his rest and family time, he's been in that done that mode. Okay, starting his own talent agency and athletic representation firm. He could do that. That's one area he could go into. And I think you're a lot of people saying that he'd be successful at it. You're exactly right. Exactly right. I could see him maybe working with Rich Paul and LeBron. And it could very well be partly because he is working for the Lakers. So, I mean, it's that kind of stuff. I get it. Yeah. Happy Pride, man. Yeah. Happy Pride. You don't have to celebrate. You don't have to be involved. You don't have to even like gay people. But you know what? Let them have pride. Let them have equality. Let them have the ability to celebrate and be who they are without chastisement and people just being ugly. Seriously, they're not hurting your lives. Let them have their celebration today. And that's what I say. That's what I say on this. That's right. Happy Pride. Seymour saying, why do you turn on my comments? Now you assume I'm making fun of Pride people. Oh my God, ask a question because I love Caravana. I'm not in the city anymore, man. Please, I'm not here to knock anyone or anything. Well, I just don't know, man. I don't know. In some ways, I can only read what you say. This is the folly of this format, honestly, because it's like you guys aren't saying the words to me. I don't hear your inflection, and I don't understand exactly what you're saying. I'm only reading what you read. That's why I tell people don't be sarcastic here. If you say something that you mean, I'm going to read it as you mean it. I apologize if I misrepresented this. I just thought everybody knows that Caravana is in August. I think that that's been always the case, that we've always had Caravana in August. And that's why I was like, wait, what is going on here? You know that there's two separate events in Toronto summer, the Pride Parade in June and Caravana in August. And there'll be the Taste of the Danforth and somewhere in between and all that kind of stuff. Seymour, I love you, man. I don't want to misconstrue your comments. I would just say for everybody commenting, I apologize if I don't read your comments right. Some of y'all are writing them crazy. And some of it is also what I just said, that I don't understand your inflection or how you said it. And it could very well be as being very serious. It's all good, Seymour. And I'm not going to try and paint you as an anti-pride person or anything like that. Nako's saying no particular order. Cavs, Pacers, Knicks, Detroit, Magic, Bucks, Raptors are probably a playoff team. And I don't feel confident in the Bucks or Pacers. Okay, you're listing who you think is going to be the order of the top of the Eastern Conference. Well, you forgot the Celtics, bro. You can't not list the Celtics because even though they're losing some main players, they will be somewhere in the mix. They won't be right at the top, though. I'll agree with that. I think the Cavs are most likely to be the best team next year, although we'll see with some of these moves they're making this summer. Pacers, we obviously got to keep them in consideration at the top. I wouldn't go so far with the Knicks. There's a rumor this morning that the Knicks are interviewing Don Staley to be the head coach of the Knicks. I think that'd be a fantastic move. I think that it would be very bold. I think that she'd be a badass at it. I think that she'd be very tough-minded, and it would be very historic, obviously, and maybe exactly what the Knicks need. So I would say, yeah, do it. Do it, seriously. Out of all the candidates I've been hearing, Don Staley may be one of the better ones. And some people are joking about it or laughing about it, but you're idiots. Honestly, you're absolute idiots. You've got to understand the competitor that Don Staley was as a player. And she's had a lot of success as a coach since, too. So this is not far-fetched. And this may actually be a smart move because she's kind of tough-nosed enough. And in some ways, it would be interesting enough that it would be so different from Thibodeau that it might actually work. So, yeah, they're talking about Don Staley possibly coaching the Knicks. I think the Knicks won't be in the top 4 of teams in the East next year. I don't think they will. I think they're going to have a fall next year. Detroit will rise up. Magic aren't going to be good. I'm not picking the Magic. Bucks are going to be right in the middle. I would put the above the Magic and the Bucks and possibly the Knicks also, guys, just so you know. And, yeah, you totally forgot about the Celtics on that list. You totally did, which that's to my own heart. Thank you, Gerald. Thank you for forgetting about the Celtics. Seymour saying, and I'm of Caribbean descent. My people don't like that gay stuff, but I'm over that. People can make decisions themselves, self-respect. People's personal decisions. That's the way. Like, listen, some people are trying to say gay people are trying to make you just have to be involved with them or like this stuff. No, they just want their own ability to do their own lives and not be persecuted. People have been persecuted in different groups all through history, and especially gay people. Gay people have been persecuted in horrendous ways, throughout the history of time. People of color, that all kinds of people have been persecuted, and they can understand and identify with this. So it's like, I like your attitude about this. It's like, you don't like it. In some ways, I don't respect that totally, but that's fine. That's your own personal choice. That's right. But in some ways, it's like, you're not trying to stop them from being their own lives and doing what they do. That's the thing. Personal freedom is freedom to be yourself. And if you're not allowing people to be themselves because you want to control their lives, that's not freedom. That's you being a dictator. And it's not Seymour. I'm not saying that to Seymour. I'm saying that to people that are like that. Yeah. Smooth saying, Rich Paul made some calls to ensure Malawach fell to the Suns with the 10th pick. Video online. There you go. There you go. So that's interesting. So Rich Paul funneled his clutch client, Malawach, to the Suns somehow, some way. That's interesting. That's interesting. I don't think that's far-fetched. I don't think that's far-fetched. I don't know why he wouldn't want him to come here. Maybe it's because he knew all the things with Masai and what was about to happen. See, that's part of the problem. We may have had favor with Clutch and some other agencies around the league because Masai actually works really well with Clutch, honestly. And that may be one of the things that hurt us going forward is that, I don't know, Bobby's probably pretty good with Clutch too. But I bet you Masai had way more respect to LeBron and Rich Paul. And he was easier to deal with them than maybe what we have left now, which sucks. Because I know Masai could probably deal with Rich Paul very well. And who knows? Maybe Rich Paul's like, man, fuck the Raptors for doing that to Ujiri, my guy. Y'all don't get common. There's going to be a lot of different explanations to what happened here. Now, the Raptors could have just picked them brazenly, but they didn't. They picked Colin Murray Boyles. But Rich Paul wanted him to go to the Suns. That's interesting. There's a video out there on that. Okay, respectfully. Yeah, respectfully to you, Seymour. I don't want to disrespect you or misrepresent you. I know you're a really, really fantastic, good person, man. Okay, you're going to put that in Discord so we can look at it? Awesome. Awesome. That may answer some questions there. James is saying, shout out to Davion Mitchell for the $24 million contract. A lot of people wrote him off. Hard work pays off. Yeah, $12 million a year, 2-year contract, signing back with the Miami Heat. Yeah, he's just a good fit there. I mean, it was weird. I loved him in Toronto. He was great in the beginning of the year last year. Fantastic. But in some ways, Shed got so good so quick. Davion was not necessary. And, well, at least we did him a solid and sent him to a team that made sense for him. And he absolutely, took to the Miami Heat like a dog to water. He loves being on the Miami Heat, and this is great. Congratulations, Davion, for being your new contract with the Miami Heat. Yeah, I'm not upset about this. And in some ways, I wish him well because the dude was good. And even though he's a half-year Raptor, he's still going to be a Raptor alumni and somebody that put on our jersey and in some ways really embraced it and loved being in Toronto while he was. So I have no hate against Davion Mitchell, and I'm happy for him this morning. I really am. Wayne Strainer saying, Masai building an athlete's representation firm in Toronto would be MLSC's nightmare. Investors will be lining up to invest, and he would be his own, man. Giants of Africa would be multi-international business. Giants of Africa is not going to change. It'll still be going, and he's still going to do everything he does. It's just that he won't be doing it possibly here in Toronto because he may not have the home base here in Toronto soon. We'll have to see. But I'll bet you wherever he goes, if he's going to run the expansion team in Seattle, Giants of Africa will be going on in Seattle at that point. So we'll just have to see how it goes. It's definitely not over. Giants of Africa is an institution on its own from MLSC, and it'll be perfectly fine going forward. Trust me. And it's going to be very successful because Masai is going to be successful whatever he does next, and he will be able to personally fund things about Giants of Africa himself like he already has been. James is saying, what do you think about Santi Aldama? He's a restricted free agent, good backup center. Yeah, he's a fantastic long-armed presence, very active, very fiery, gives a shit about a lot of the right things. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if Santi Aldama was on the Raptors. I wouldn't be upset. I don't know if he's going to be the right price for us, though. We'll have to see what his free agency price is. And maybe we are a little out of his price and not up there enough. Yeah. Neil's saying, don't worry about not getting a backup center. This team is going to play handsies, so we turn over teams before they can score on us. Yeah, I mean, you still kind of want the depth because we know what happens if Yak misses any time. Our winning percentage just plummets. So in some ways, it's smart to have a backup to your center. It's just smart. And in some ways, the Raptors have really short-staffed their center position. And I think honestly, that's been a tanking ploy. And that's why I don't like this look. In some ways, that's why I really want a backup center, is because we want insurance that we're going to not be in a small ball situation where we have no choice and we're losing and we just don't have the height to match up with the other team. That's why I'm a little worried. And this in some ways, this is still important. I will disagree with you, Neil, on this. I mean, I know you don't think that we should get a backup center, but I think we do need one. And if it's going to be Shamshay stepping up and elevating his game, so be it. That's fantastic. If it's going to be Jonathan Moba playing more and more small ball center, that's what we did last year. If it's going to be Colin Castleton emerging on our team and having a more prominent role, that would be great. Scotty has to play small ball center sometimes too, to fill the gaps. Yeah, I guess that's part of it too. Seymour saying, Lex, your channel has grown me in a positive direction and understand people's decisions and rights. Keep being the champ, your best Raptors channel. Man, you're awesome, Seymour. I appreciate that. Well, in some ways, we talk a lot about basketball and the Raptors, but this is a channel about living your life too. And that's why I talk about things like the speed cameras I just talked about. That's why I talk about things like society and like people having fair, just lives where they're happy and healthy and taken care of. Because honestly, this world has all the riches in the world. We have abundance. It's a myth that there's scarcity. The scarcity is manufactured by the corporations to drive economy. And in some ways, if we really, there are things about communism. It's not communism, it's socialism, that are absolutely fantastic, because it will mean I have a theory of this. It's called the floor and ceiling theory. It's basically this. There should be a floor income for everybody where they're absolutely all taken care of, with a house over their heads, clothes on their backs, their electricity and their bills paid, and food on the table, adequate food on the table, and a free education and free healthcare. Every single person should have that. Does that sound crazy? Does that sound impossible? No, it's not, because there's a lot of very good countries that are already doing this in this world. And you have a basic income at the bottom that catches everybody. So you don't have any homeless. You don't have hardly any crime. You don't have a lot of the social problems that pervade society today. The social problems are boogeymen used by the rich to justify like bloated military and police budgets so that they can keep people in line. But you don't have any of these issues if people actually have the money to take care of their lives. A lot of the crime goes out the window. People only do crazy shit for money when they are desperate. But if they have easy lives where they can earn the money right way, they won't do that shit as much. You'd be shocked. So the ways to fix society are there. So I say a floor income and then a ceiling income where you can't make over this amount. And if you make over this amount, all of the money that you gain in profits goes right back into the government, in the system, and to social programs and to public services. And that's how you do it right there. In some ways, we're being robbed of free healthcare and free education and all kinds of things by the billionaires right now and their tax cuts and them just getting more money put in their fortunes. If we did this the right way and we had the right rules of a floor and a ceiling of incomes, we could have everybody living healthier, happier, and having more production, more progress, more productivity. All kinds of different things would happen in the right ways. And we'd have better outcomes, and we'd have more art in society. We'd have more innovation. We'd have better thinkers on this continent that are at the top of their fields in science and innovation and coming out with new inventions for the world. We would be so much better. It would be a better utopia. And that's what I'm saying. A floor and a ceiling income would hugely change everything. Everything. I appreciate you, Seymour. I'm going to give you a dunk. I appreciate that, man. I know that, and sometimes we're a little cantankerous and at odds, but honestly, man, it's a learning experience for everybody. I'm learning from you guys just as much as you learned from me. And I have to learn how to be a better person. And I hope I am a better person in the 4 years I've been doing this channel. I hope I am. Wayne's saying, right on point, Lex. What does really rebuild mean? Subject to interpretation. Yeah, it's like, why do you want to classify everything? In some ways, it's like people with relationships. It's like, oh, why do we have to classify it? Why can't we just be two people that really love each other and we're just together? Oh, you boyfriend and girlfriend? Are you fiance? Are you getting married? Are you this? Are you that? I mean, everybody wants to label everything so they can understand it and kind of put it in a box so that they can deal with it. Sometimes things just aren't labeled. They're just what they are. It is what it is. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Shere Khan saying, in my life, I've gone from a center-right person to a super leftist now. It's all about local community, human rights, and environmental. Oh, hang on. It just jumped. I want to make sure I get this comment by Shere Khan. Let's see. Oh man, yeah. All right, here we go. Here we go. In my life, I've gone from a center-right person to a super leftist now. It's all about local community, human rights, and environmental reform. Love Caravana, love Pride, love Messiah, and power to the people. That's what I'm saying. Power to the people, because we really do have the power. And the more we exercise it and flex it in these really weird, dark, dystopian times, the more important it is. We need to remind them. The French Revolution. We really need to remind them that we are the ones, if we stand up, their table falls over. They don't get shit. They need us to be cogs in the machine to make the machine work. They need us to be consumers and to buy their products and to continue to give them money, or they don't have anything. So that's what I'm saying. We have way more power than everybody thinks. And that's us as collective. That's why they divide us. That's why they make culture wars where they want you to hate trans immigrants, gay people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, white people. They just want you to hate people other than them. It's all distraction. So don't buy into the culture war. The cultures are all the same in a way. Gay people, black people, immigrant people, they're going through the same shit in a lot of the same ways. And it's they make you hate each other, whether it's black people against Jewish people, whether it's like white people versus black people, whether it's gay people versus straight people, whatever. They want you to be divided so that you're not coming at them. And that's what I'm saying. Don't get distracted by a culture war when it's really a class war that we're in. That's what it is right now. That's right. I appreciate you, Shere Khan. I think that, listen, everybody can be a certain way as their life changes and life experience happens. You kind of, it can mold who you are and your beliefs can change. Some people stay at the same place on a political spectrum, but the world changes around them. And they kind of all of a sudden have moved to a different place just because the world moved in another way, But it's very interesting. It's important to not just be such in your dogma that I just believe this and I will for the rest of my life and I'm never going to be wrong. Those are the people that are absolutely wrong. And those are the people that don't understand what's really right. Science changes. Climate change is real. And people that don't want to accept science and fact and are in la land, a lot of them are capitalists that just want to make money off the degradation of the planet for their own short-term profit. But they're not even thinking about the sustainability and the degradation that's going to cause problems for the future generations. So yeah, I commend you, Shere Khan, for having the overall insight to see the whole picture. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, Kaz saying, good morning, Lex and Rapid Free Crew. Good morning to you, Trucker Kaz, the man who beat me in WNBA fantasy. I'm not going to let that go. Good job. Good job. And checking in on the WNBA fantasy real quick. We're on our last day of the week. Cool Cat, you're not going to get me. I've got you by a big margin. Fiercey's winning over Logical Raptors Fanatic, but it's about a 50-point lead. Mike, you could maybe make it up today. You really got to do something. James is going to win this week, it looks like. James is going to get a win. JP is losing to Kaz. So Trucker Kaz has taken the lead by a good margin in his matchup this week. He's got some really good momentum from getting the win and from me. And this is a very close game between Kareem and Meredith. So, yeah, that is going to go right down the wire on Sunday. Also, our WNBA games for today, our referees are in Atlanta, it's New York Liberty, Isaac Barnett, Kevin Fahey, and Kelsey Reynolds. Chicago at Los Angeles, Roy Gibbien, Ashley Gloss, and Biniam Maru. Las Vegas at Phoenix, Tim Green, Michael Price, Catherine Chang. Connecticut at Minnesota, Amy Bonner, Gina Cross, Jason Alabanza. And Seattle at Golden State Valkyries, Claire Aubrey, Ryan Sassano, and Kelly Broomfield. That's your ref check for WNBA action today. Yeah, I'll be excited about doing the ref report for the WNBA games. I'm going to build an infrastructure for this on my own because I don't think there's a WNBA ref a reference page on Basketball Reference. There may be that I don't know about, but I may gonna have to find out. But if there isn't, I'll build from scratch our own reference page for referees in the Toronto Tempo and how they've affected them, just like how I do for the Raptors. So yeah, Teresa, if it's not on Basketball Reference and they're not doing it there, I'm going to do it here. And maybe you want to hire me as a referee expert for the Tempo. I don't know. I have a lot of experience in this. All right, let's see. Kareem saying, I can't believe we lost Savannah Hamilton and Masai Ujiri in the same week. What a gut punch. Yeah, I really do hope Savannah jumps on with Teresa and Tempo. And who knows, maybe she can be like a very prominent media person for the Toronto Tempo team. She'd be very good for it because she's a women's basketball player herself that played in the past for Ryerson. And she has a lot of experience doing media already now. So I think that she would be a great add-on to Kilmer Group and Toronto Tempo. That is if she wants to stay in Toronto. Now, she may get people calling her from other parts around the world to come and maybe possibly do her job somewhere else. So we'll just have to see. But I'm hoping she'll land on her feet real nice too. Yeah, I'm hoping she does. Blackhawk saying Raptors app shows Scotty and CMB as 6'9" and Mobo is 6'7" and Mobo is 6'9". Yeah, I mean, we know Scotty's not 6'7". We know he's not. We know these things are wrong. You know, I've seen Colin Murray Boyle's height is actually 6'6", just so you guys know. Well, that's without the shoes. Mobo maybe just slightly taller than Scott, but that may be not true too. Seriously, I don't go by any of these heights. They've been so bad at getting heights correctly. I mean, they used to say Charles Barkley was 6'7", but he was really 6'4", guys. He was really 6'4". So a lot of them are lies. Let's see. Wayne's saying our rookie class has never done well in summer league. Let's gauge how we do this year. Let's keep mentioning Dwayne Casey as a positive candidate for the president position. He's worthy and deserves it. Yeah, I'm totally with that. I give it my approval for sure. For sure. I like the idea of it. You know, summer league's weird. In some ways, summer league, we shouldn't be gauging on whether we win summer league or not. I know Scotty was pissed when he didn't win his rookie year. He really wanted to win, and in some ways they were on track, but it was just a dumb thing. The system for determining summer league is really tough to figure out. They've gotten a little bit better in the last couple years, but they really didn't get like this is the best team in summer league. It's really hard to figure out because not all the teams are playing each other, and they're going to have to do like weird, like, well, they put this team and this team beat this team, and sometimes you can't really figure it out exactly. But yeah, we want to see success. In some ways, it's not necessarily about team success and the Raptors winning summer league games, maybe more about seeing individuals, our first look with them and kind of getting a feel for them. Think about Jamison Battle last summer and how much summer league helped him be where he is right now. That's right. That's it right there. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. I'm the problem. It's my bad. No, you're not the problem, man. You're not the problem at all, Seymour. This is where, you know, when we have conflict or we kind of don't totally agree on things, this is where we got to meet and get an understanding. And that's what it is, man. I just need to understand your comments better. I don't think you're a bad guy at all, man. She's saying, Seymour, you're one of the most real ones. I think comments and interpretations get lost in translation sometimes. That's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. I know the thing is, guys, you guys are getting me unfiltered. You know, a lot of times in my life, most of the time I'm not reacting instantaneously with my mouth and just talking and letting it flow. More often, I'm taking things in silently and reacting later in any kind of situation. I usually don't have quick reactions, but I do on this channel because it's the nature of this format. And sometimes I don't have the proper initial reaction to somebody else's comments because I'm confused, or also because I'm in a bad mood personally and it has nothing to do with you. So it's like, in some ways, it's like I'm human. And unfortunately, I make mistakes and I may rub people the wrong way. And I have for sure in the years I've doing this channel. But that's the price I pay for having a totally unfiltered stream of conscious talk on this channel for 2 hours every morning. So I want you to know it's never personal. In some ways, I'm reacting just off of stream of consciousness. And I'm not totally always thinking through what I'm saying exactly because the nature of how this show is done. So I don't have a script. I do this all off the top of my head. And I just try to be as eloquent and informational and easy to understand as I can. And sometimes, you know, yeah, you're not the problem, guy. You're awesome. You're awesome. I'm the problem. If it's everything, you guys can blame me first. I'll be the fall guy. Seriously. I have no ego in this. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong and I'm an asshole for it. I will. I mean, even with all the people that have left since, I mean, except for the fuckface that went MAGA, I would totally apologize to those people and say, you know what, you guys are awesome. And, you know, I never meant to piss you off. It's just that I have no filter. And I say crazy shit. It's like, you know, it's like that. Seymour saying, gee, I just try to add content to go over know the ins and outs of the team. I can't compete. I don't watch meals and dressing. I'm about on court play. I like that. And in fact, I think that the basketball needs to be more in the focus of what we do on this channel, for sure. For sure. There's a lot of stuff we unpack and that's connected to the Raptors, but the basketball is the meat and potatoes of what we should be talking about. And when it's played, when we're doing reactions to games, that's what we talk about. We talk about the stuff we saw in the game. We saw the plays, what the coach did, what Scotty did, stuff like that. And I'll be happy when we're back in that. And in summer league, it's going to be a little bit of that. And then next summer, we'll have Toronto tempo games going on right now, and maybe less speculation on extra stuff like trading and free agency and stuff like that. Sheer constant hot take. I think Colin could be a better defender than Scotty or even OG for that matter. The Green comparison is kind of lazy, but he is in the same archetype, Barkley, as mentioned earlier, is most likely. All right, so I love this comment by Shirkan. Let me parse this out. First of all, I'm going to request that we're going to need full names because we have two Collins on the team now. And in some ways, we're going to have to distinguish between Colin Castleton and Colin Murray Boyles. So I would ask people, let's put CMB for Murray Boyles, because in some ways, I could interpret this as Colin. But I know you mean Murray Boyles on this. Just to be safe. That may be true. I mean, Scotty, in some ways, may be the better athlete and the better overall prospect and the better overall NBA player. But there may be a side about CMB that is a little bit more like defensive centered around it. It may be very true that, Scotty has some offensive balance with his defensive side, and he has since the beginning. OG did not. OG was very defensively heavy in the beginning, and he's becoming around his offense more and more as time goes on. Now, I would predict the same thing for Colin Murray Boyles, that he's going to be very, very defensive oriented in his first few years in the league, but his offense will come in spots and he'll get developed more and more, kind of like OG Anunoby. So I think this is true. It may actually be partly because Scott is going to be expending so much energy on leadership, offense, and defense. And Colin is going to solely focus on defensive stuff. I'll bet you money. And that may be why it kind of looks like this to a degree. I like that he studies Draymond. I don't like the Draymond comparison, but I like that he studies Draymond, because in some ways, Colin Murray Boyles has studied Draymond for how he switches and the different kind of ways he does things, as far as like why he's positioned here and why he would do this on this matchup and stuff like that. So he's a student of Draymond. He's very made it explicit that he studies Draymond Green. And that's a good thing. I mean, in some ways, I don't want all the extracurricular bullshit that Draymond brings, the WWE, the brashness, the cockiness, the punching his teammate. But if you can come with the energy of the genius of the positioning and some of the switchability that Draymond Green does, Colin Murray Boyles, I'll be all about that. Yeah, I made the Barkley comparison about Colin. It's not necessarily that he's going to be on the level of Barkley, but there's some of the explosiveness near the basket with his height and his face that reminds me of Barkley. And there's some of the little flip shots. And the other thing about Colin Murray Boyles near the basket that people got to understand is he has a really light touch. Like, he has a really interesting touch with his hands where he knows how to kind of get the gravity and the physics of the ball to go through the hoop in weird, awkward angles with people around him in traffic. And he's like a little flip shot guy. Like, he can do this thing where he'll hit a guy with his body, like Barkley. Like, Barkley was a very much a bull. He'd get in the lane and he'd kind of hit a guy off. And then when he's falling back, he'd hit a little shot. There's a little bit of that kind of energy in his interior offense from Colin Murray Boyles. Hit the defender off of you. And then even with the contact and taking the contact, make a little flip shot because you're a gifted scorer that can make the ball just fall in the hole. That's what was interesting about Barkley back then, is because he had such a light touch as a guy with such a small stature, a chip on his shoulder. He could go against much bigger players than him, hit them physically off of him, and then make little flip shots over them as they fall away from him. And that's the action I was seeing in the highlights from Colin from last year in South Carolina. And that's exciting. That's exciting. In some ways, it's like there's not going to be – I'm not saying he's going to be Charles Barkley. I'm not saying anywhere near he's going to be one of the greatest players everywhere in the history. But there are Barkley-esque things about him. Let's just put it that way. Neil's saying, or you can play Jakob for 18 minutes, Mobo for 18, and CMB for 12. They will be full of energy on the back half of the season. You can increase CMB's minutes. You know, I'll repeat this again. The reason why people are going away, some of the teams' philosophy, some of them are not doing this because they're stockpiling centers still. But some teams are going small ball and not playing centers because in some ways they don't want to have players on their roster and their salary cap puzzle pieces They're taking huge chunks of their salary cap, and they may be a player that's not able to play at the very highest level of the NBA in the playoffs at the end. Seriously. Like Joel Embiid is a centerpiece for the Sixers. He has to be. He's their most important player. But in some ways, Joel Embiid is the kind of player that in a lot of situations, he can't even afford to play him because he's a detriment. So think about that philosophy. Some teams like the Pacers and the Raptors are thinking we don't need to flesh out our depth chart on center because in some ways, if we have Jakob or Miles Turner, we can have them do the basic center stuff. But after that, we'll just have power forwards and things like that because they're more likely to be able to play and contribute deep into the playoffs and the really crazy stuff where some people are trying to play small ball. We get a big lumbering center. We put a big, huge part of our salary cap and the percentage of it. It kind of handcuffs us. Does that make sense? That's the philosophy I'm hearing from around the league about why some teams shun the center position. Is because the league's gotten faster in some ways, and the centers are a detriment to a certain point in certain levels of competition in the playoffs specifically. Once again, I'll say Thunder did not start Hartenstein for the first few games of the finals. Why did they start Case and Wallace? Because they were worried the Pacers were going to run circles around them with the smaller lineup. And having two centers at the same time didn't work. If I was them, I would have started Hartenstein and brought Holmgren off the bench. But I'm just saying, why did the Pacers do that? That's evidence and support of what I'm talking about and why the league is not as heavy on centers at this point. The Raptors had every chance to draft a center in this draft. Why didn't they do that? This may be why. And man, I'm kind of mad that they didn't, seriously, because there were a lot of good draft prospects this year for center, and they had every chance to do it, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. Wayne's saying top FBI in New York City just got fired for refusing to hand over Epstein files to Trump, DOJ. Sorry, important news. Good people getting tossed all over. Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. You know why he wants that? Is because he wants to destroy it. The FBI file on Epstein's Island has Trump all in it. That's exactly why he wants to destroy that. Good on that FBI agent. I don't know what's going on in the States. I can't keep track of all the little battles. In some ways, the good guys are winning. In some ways, the bad guys are winning. I know that's what's happening. That's what's happening. But the people have the power, and we got to remember that. Neil's saying Garrett is re-signed to sit on the bench as a 15th guy and not complain for minutes. That way, Darko can focus on the top 11. He's re-signed for more than that. That's kind of insulting as far as what you're saying, what he's doing. He's doing way more than that, just that. Reggie's saying Chris Boucher is not coming back. Toronto has very little room when it comes to free agency signing. My hope Brook Lopez isn't happening either. Raptors being linked to those 4 or 5 guys, all good minimum level signings. Yeah, I think that's why that list was underwhelming, is because ESPN's kind of looking what's realistic for the price range we have, and those were those names. I still like Trey Lyles. I think Trey Lyles would be great, but I would wonder, isn't Trey Lyles probably the same price as Chris Boucher? Kareem saying, could you imagine the Rogers family hiring Bob Myers and having to pay the same or most likely even more for president? That won't be a good look. Yeah, that would be really, really bad. Like if Bob Myers said, I want $15 million a year, and they're like, yeah, sure, we'll give it to you. Yeah, that would look really, really bad. Really, really bad for all kinds of reasons. Now, if this is a cost-cutting move in the long run, well, they're going to need to hire this person for a lot less money than Masai was getting paid. That's for sure. A lot less money. A lot less money. And you get what you paid for, honestly. That's part of the reason why we were so good, is we were paying somebody to be really, really good. And he was really good. Neil's saying the 13th and 14th players will have to play in the 905. We don't have just 13th and 14th players anymore. We go all the way deep to 17 at this point. NBA rosters are 17 people now, guys. You got to remember that. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't really totally done my depth chart for next season and how it's shaping up, because I want to do Summer League first and see what happens with the prospects there. And we'll get more of a clear picture of who's actually a legitimate possibility for who's going to be in training camp, and also who may be in the position battles to try and make the roster. We go over this very in depth. In fact, I enjoy this part of the year where we kind of talk about training camp and what the possibilities are. And we're definitely going to look at everybody who's involved and who's going to possibly make the 17-man roster for the Raptors next year, as far as the 3 two-ways and everything else. That's right. That's right. We got two-ways right now on Shamshay, I think Roden, and Wepner now. I think those are the right ones, or maybe Colin Castleton as the two-way. I'm not totally sure who the 3 two-ways are, but Wepner and Shamshay are 2 of them. I know that. Let's see. Seymour saying, Smooth, did they give any names? Did they give any names? Well, I'm sure that the names are all in that thing. Yeah. Oh, no, not the FBI thing. Wayne saying, Garrett isn't here for minutes. It's for a mentorship. Not that difficult. Vaughn issued 32,000 tickets in 3 weeks. Do the math on that. That's a lot of tickets. And that's a lot of revenue, tax revenue. And I want to see it go to public services. I want to see it go towards schools. I want to see it go to hospitals. Doug Ford, you piece of shit. And I don't trust you, man. Are you bilking us with speed tickets and you're keeping some of the money, or you're keeping, like, where is this great money that goes? You're always talking about cost cutting, but then you're raising taxes and doing shit like this. Like, where does this money go? It should be going to our hospitals. It should be going to our schools, you fuck face. That's what I'm saying right here. Smooth saying Seymour Pape, the names that Lex talked about before. Oh, that list. Yeah, that list before with like Dennis and Chris Paul and Malcolm Brogdon. Sure, Constant. I like Chucky and Degenhart. Degenhart, that's his last name. Excellent prospects. I got to say, this summer league could be a must-watch for Raps fans. Training camp may end up bumping lots of fan faves, but competition is good for us. Yeah, that's definitely what we've got, is competition on our team. There's a lot of competition for roster spots, rotation spots, everything. And in some ways, these 2 draft picks we got are lighting a fire under the ass of Jamal Shed, Jonathan Mobo, and Scotty Barnes. I'm going to say that right now. That's what's going on here. That's right. Nako's saying that Colin is equal to J-Dub. Now, once again, I told you this. If you're going to use the nickname J-Dub, I'm not going to specifically think Jalen Williams, the one that played for Oklahoma City and got 40 points in a finals game. I'm going to think of Jason Williams, white chocolate, who played for the Sacramento Kings 20 years ago. So understand, that's a ubiquitous nickname. And once again, you're referencing a player that has the same name as a teammate, and you're going to need to spell his name correctly, completely out, if you want me to know that that's him. Just going by this. So J-Dub, he's not J-Dub to me. There's J-Dub is Jason Williams of Florida, Sacramento Kings, Memphis Grizzlies fame. Yeah, that's who I think of. And Jalen Williams, who plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder, well, he's like 3 of 3 Jalen Williams that played for that team in the last couple of years. So, yeah, you got to really, you can't half-ass this. You have to really get every single part of the ass when it comes to Jalen Williams of Oklahoma City. Because there's just too much confusion. There's too many players with the same name. I'm just saying. Too many players. Let's see. Stargate saying, you guys still just don't get why Garrett Temple's on this team. It's not about playing time or talent or on-court contribution. It's deeper than that, especially now after what just happened. Yeah. And I think that actually most Raptors fans, even casuals, get it now. Because I've seen on Raptors Reddit, people aren't complaining about it. Let's go check. Let's go look and see what the opinions are by Raptors Reddit right now about the signing of Garrett back. Let's see. We'll go look at, there's a post about it right here. 3.6 million. So let's see if people are stupid or right. Let's see. The first comment says, we just found our new president of basketball operations. There you go. I like that. They said, the next person said, can't be worse than whoever Ed has in mind. That's funny. Raptors fans giving Uncle Garrett their energy for one more year of player coaching. There you go. See, that's a positive one right there. Somebody's saying, we got our Masai replacement, boys. See, this is all positive stuff for Garrett. People aren't upset about it, man. They're not upset about Garrett coming back. Back last year, when we signed Garrett back, they were like, why are we doing this? This is so stupid. Why do we sign this guy back? But most of it's all this. Unk is back. Got so many young players, young guys that I'm glad he's back to mentor the team. The vet remains. The fact that Unk is only $1 million or so under Tavares is mind-blowing. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting point. Like, he's only $1 million or so under Tavares. Well, that's just the money in the NHL versus the money in the NBA. That's it right there. You can't blame anything else other than that. The money is better in the NBA. That's why a player of Garrett Temple's stature makes just a little bit less than Tavares. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Stargate saying Garrett is perfect for this team in the situation it's in. I guarantee you he has called every single player on the roster already and spoke to them in reference to this situation. Yeah, he's really hands-on, and he's been fantastic, and he is in partnership with Darko. Let's not get it twisted. Darko and Garrett are very, very close, and they, in some ways, he's a nice level of the hierarchy of leadership. that in some ways, like what you said in the past, the coaches aren't everywhere the players are, but the players are where the players are. And Garrett can be in the middle of it as a player and really help keep things in the right place. And that's part of the reason why our team has been so well run the last couple of years in some ways is Garrett Temple along with Darko. Along with Darko. Yeah, Kareem saying, bro, if they had hired Bob Myers and paid him more than what Masai, then I'm going to start a civil war in Toronto and run back the saga as if nothing happened. It's like some sort of weird, like Paul Revere. You're like the inverse Paul Revere. I'm coming. Oh, no, I'm leaving. That's such a weird comment, man. I just don't want to see that motherfucker get hired in any kind of way to us. No, Bob Myers don't have a place in Toronto. I'm sorry. You just don't. Reggie saying pressure's already, man. Hence what happened in Masai and who's in charge. That's a reality situation. I understand that. But that's why I'm saying don't start making stipulations yourself and say if they don't get at least sixth, there's this or this. Don't give them ideas. That's what I'm saying. In some ways, I don't want that kind of energy around our fan nation. They have enough pressure now from the ownership, and our fans should be benevolent and kind and understanding and love unconditionally. I know a lot of the fans just can't do that. They absolutely only love the team that they're winning, only love the team that they're winning championships, and that's why they said Masai was washed in the last 5 years. Idiots. No, he wasn't. He was doing the best damn job he could in the situations we were in. And, that's what I'm saying. Expectations from the fans just need to stop. Seriously, in some ways, we need to just be grateful we have an NBA team that we get to root for and love passionately. Seriously. And we are so grateful and gratitude that we've been successful and we've had abundance and we have a fun team to follow. It's not a depressing team to follow like the Wizards. Come on, guys. We got to count our blessings in some ways, especially in the changes that have happened the last couple of days. We really, really do. G saying, I feel an owner, not corporate, may even give some ownership to Masai at this point. What? An owner, not corporate, may even get... Well, Masai had part ownership of the Raptors. Larry cut him in on some of the deal, and some people have speculated that's part of why Ed Rogers hated him so much. He's like, I don't want you being a percentage owner of the Raptors too, Masai. You run it. You're an employee. You're not one of the owners. That kind of energy. Because Larry did cut Masai in as one of the owners for a little while. He really, really did. Kareem saying, we need Garrett on this team or the team would be a bunch of young delinquents. He's the bigger brother. Yeah, I don't see that. I think that we draft quality people that wouldn't be delinquents anyway. I mean, Garrett's great insurance to have around and do stuff like that. But in some ways, there's going to be a certain point where Scotty and Jamal and IQ and RJ and those kind of guys are going to be really strong leaders on their own and be able to carry on the legacy of Garrett Temple as a leader on the team. And we'd be like, they could even reference, well, what would Garrett say? This is what Garrett would say. I mean, in some ways, Garrett Temple has got the invite to be on the Raptors as long as his body can hold up. And this is what he said. It's like, it's not about whether the Raptors want me also. Personally, I have to know myself physically can play in the NBA at the level that is worth me being in the NBA. Like Garrett doesn't want to get a handout. Garrett doesn't want to just get a salary just to hang around. It's important to him that he can physically still play at the NBA level and contribute. If he can't, he's saying, I don't want to take their money or steal it because I'm not giving them what they want. He has this attitude. He's expressed this on places like the Raptors show in the past, where he said, like, yeah, if I can't play physically to the level of the NBA, I will hang it up. So he's testing this and he's keeping his body in shape at his age. And if he can't physically play in the NBA, he'll walk away. He won't take the money. That's it right there. That's right. Kareem saying you're 1,000% correct. All right. There you go, G. You're 1,000%, 10,000% correct. Reggie saying there's no more safety valves in place based on how the Leafs, Argos, and Toronto FC are being run with what's going on. I know. That's the scary thing. Larry was the safety valve. Larry's gone. And then Masai, in some ways, had his safety valve was Larry. And now Masai was a safety valve for our whole entire team. Now he's gone. So, yeah, this is scary. Reggie's right. He's right. Nako saying, I honestly don't have much faith in the Celtics. I probably should have added Atlanta. Atlanta's made some moves this offseason that looks like they may be working in the right direction. But, yeah, I you know what? I'm with you. I shouldn't have so much faith in the Celtics without Jason Tatum, although I do like Jaylen Brown. And I think that they may be better without Jason Tatum in a weird kind of way. Wayne saying, sorry, Lex, I was writing in Jamaican mode. That, this, that, the That's all right. I can try and read it that way. It's all good, Wayne. I don't want to take away your natural voice. It's just that sometimes it's hard for me to read stuff. Some ways it's all good. Stargate, tell that to Blackhawk with that not complaining about minutes perspective. His role is keeping rookies focused. Yeah, we all understand what Garrett's assignment is. We do at this point. Uninformed players, uninformed fans from a couple of years ago maybe didn't understand it, but we all understand it now. We all understand it now. If you don't, you're not paying attention. Let's see. Nako saying Suns had a good draft. Malawatch and Fleming is nice. Those are nice prospects. I'm not against you on that. I think you're right. Slug Easy saying CMB comes in with a similar physical and defensive profile to OG, in my opinion. Both were also considered weak shooters. BI keeps the seat warm for 2 years and moves on if CMB develops. That could be right, Slug Easy. I want to say that's right. Good to see you back in the chat. Yeah, the comparisons to OG are there, and he's even brought up OG at times. You know, like Colin, you can tell is really like into defense because he studies the defensive grades. That's what I'm saying. I don't know about. Let's not talk about BI leaving or anything like that. Let's not get ahead of stuff like that. Blackhawk saying not Rich Paul's interest to have too many players under the same team if he's trying to maximize contracts in the long run. Yeah, I guess that's true. That makes sense. Let's see. And Seymour saying, let Wayne, let him know. There you go. Aldama, finally, we talking possibilities. I don't know if he is a possibility, though, because he may be in the free agency class that's out of our price range. Because he's a very young, up-and-coming player that, he may be a little bit more expensive than what the Raptors can actually spend. That's why. I mean, I'd love to have him. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know if he's in the range. Stargate is saying Garrett is the mental glue guy on the bench. And hang on, it jumped ahead. Hang on. All right, y'all. Give me a cutoff, seriously, because I am at 2.5 hours. I'll do 3 hours just because Masai got fired. But I don't really want to be here all day. And y'all got to kind of like slow down on the comments, guys. Especially if there's any duplicity in comments that are kind of the same as ones we've already said. Garrett is the mental glue guy on the bench in the locker room. He's there to keep the players grounded and focused in the midst of difficult situations just like these. He is very much necessary. Yeah, that's under the job description. I can't argue with that. Neil's saying, I'm not saying don't get a center. I'm saying don't worry about getting a center. We will get it by until they make us deeper at the center role. I understand your philosophy, and you're probably right. You're probably right. But I don't want our team to be short-staffed at center and getting L's. And that may be part of the plan for what they're trying to do on the download, the people that don't want us to be successful, that are in charge. Let's just put it that way. Wayne's saying, we keep linking Masai to other teams or organizations. My point is he's gone that route already. His next move is logically opening up his own shop. He has the ability, contacts, and willing investors. Yeah. I mean, I would rather him not work in the NBA any further and like just let Toronto be his crown jewel of his NBA career and what he did. In some ways, I've said, like, if you go to the Hawks, Masai Ujiri, it would be like Michael Jordan playing for the Wizards. It just doesn't seem right. And it may not be anywhere near the same success level. In some ways, he could ruin his legacy and his reputation and tarnish it by going and working for another organization and not having the same kind of success. So, yeah, there's some pitfalls to that. And in some ways, he could actually circumvent all that by just going into a new arena completely, whether it's politics, whether it's more charity, humanitarian work, whether it's diplomacy, whether it's representation. Yeah, I can see this. Let's see. A classic card. Yeah, we can do that. Start a union at work. That's right. There you go. That's another one. Stargate saying, Wayne, I agree with you on Masai. He will either end up set up his own shop, either that or politics. That'd be kind of interesting. Boss Health is saying Scott has 1 more year or less to prove himself. No, we don't. And you don't make that stipulation, Boss Health. No. What has he not proved? Honestly, like, it's a casual take that people say Scotty hasn't proved himself. He's proven himself. He's proven himself in the ways that matter the most, honestly. A casual say, oh, he's not scoring enough. He hasn't proved himself. Look deeper than the surface level. Seriously, you're out in yourself is not paying attention. Scotty's defense is so good right now. He improved his defense to a huge level last year. He's also improved his interior offense amazingly in the last year or so. Everybody say Scotty spin his wheels, not get anywhere. They're only looking at his points per game, and it's a very shallow, casual, uninformed take. Scotty elevated his game as a leader and a vocal leader on the court and a man who demands, people step up and do their part and their responsibility. And he takes accountability on people that aren't. Listen, you may not see it. You may not perceive it. But Scotty is progressing very well right now. But the progress that Scotty shows as a player is not up to casual dumbasses who can't see it. He's fine. And you making a stipulation like that, who the fuck are you to say that he has this year to prove and that's it? That's bullshit, bro. That's bullshit. You actually don't even have an understanding that Scotty is the crown jewel of our team. And in some ways, he's not doing anything wrong. This whole thing made up about him being sloppy Barnes and not playing well, that's made up by people that hate the Raptors. And you're parroting their bullshit. If you really love the Raptors, you don't come out our franchise player with this energy. Because honestly, Scotty's not doing anything wrong. He's kicking major ass. And he's progressing as a player just fine. And everybody trying to say, oh, he's not doing this, or if he doesn't do that, he's in trouble with this. Y'all are fucking part of the problem, and you're adding for the haters. The energy of this is the people down south that love Scotty and know he's a good player. And some ways they're gaslighting you, just like they gaslighted us on Anunoby and Siakam. They try to say, oh, these guys aren't that good. Fred's not that good. We should get rid of Siakam. Should get rid of Anunoby. Should get rid of Van Vliet. These guys are good players for our team. They were the whole time. It's just that other teams see us and they want our players. They hate us having Jakob. They hate us having Scotty and RJ. So they come in and they pick it apart. They make up bullshit on Reddit. Scotty Barnes just isn't good enough. It's easy for them to use the points per game thing because a casual take will look at that and say, oh, he hasn't grown anything. Well, that's the casual take. If you really look deep and you really investigate, you're absolutely fucking wrong. And honestly, you should be ashamed of yourself, Boss Health. Because honestly, you're helping our haters, our enemies, with you parroting their bullshit. It's not true. And any good Raptors fan is not criticizing Scotty Barnes right now, like Chev or anybody like that. No, you're honestly understanding that Scotty made growth in leadership, vocalness, defense, interior post-up game, and all this shit. And the assignment is, look, you're going to say that he didn't get good enough this year if he still averages 19 points a game this year. But that's not the parameter to gauge whether Scotty Barnes is doing well or not. The best parameter for gauging whether Scotty Barnes is doing well or not is W's. It's wins for the Raptors team. So stop looking at his individual stats. He's a team player. And in some ways, the things that he does on the court, the intangibles, the leadership, the gutsy, dirty work that we want in any player that comes to play for us, it doesn't get counted. And you're not taking that into the equation. So yeah, strike for Boss Health matters. There will be no Scotty slander. And there's no kind of bullshit like if he doesn't do this, he's got to be this or this. Fuck that shit. He's our franchise player. We've invested a lot of money in him. He's an amazing player. And the Raptors fans that are coming at Scotty in different ways toxically right now, 2-finger salute for y'all. Y'all don't understand him. And honestly, if I have to explain it too hard for you guys to understand it, you're just propagating the hate from other places that hates the Raptors. And just stop. Seriously. Seymour saying, Cavs are asking Ty Jerome not to return. He will be in a New Jersey next year. He'll be on New Jersey next year? No. That's interesting because in some ways I thought he was one of their best players. Like, I think that Ty Jerome was one of their best players off the bench. He absolutely is a shit disturber. He's a competitor. He's a guy I hate playing against. So this is weird that they would want to let him go. It seems like a dumb move. You want to get Lonzo Ball and you want to get rid of Ty Jerome? Yeah, Cavs, you may be going downhill next year. These are the kind of moves I would question. You traded Okoro for Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball may be washed, damaged goods, and you want to get rid of Ty Jerome, your best guard off the bench? Wow, Cavs, your record's not going to be as good next year. I can already tell. It's really not. Let's see. Kareem saying, is there any room for Masai and the tempo? Larry Tanenbaum would be delighted to have him there, I'm sure. I don't think he would go to that level. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's an off chance. But in some ways, this is Teresa's show. And you don't really want to overshadow Teresa. And that's the problem. Masai would come in and he'd definitely overshadow her in some ways. And I think that he wouldn't do that out of respect to her. So as much as it sounds fun, it would be nice. Keep it in the family. Very, very good. I don't think it's really likely. Trevor's saying, I watched the IQ video. Yeah, IQ's been putting out propaganda and videos about him working out. It's good propaganda. It's good stuff about showing the hard work he puts in. It's fantastic. I love it. Monique is here. Great draft party for Chucky Hepburn. Yeah, I mean, everybody does draft parties. I don't understand why you're making a big deal out of this, because it was like just like with Fred, where he didn't get drafted and he had to have a sad moment or something like that. I mean, everybody does a draft party. It's not that special. Stargate saying Bobby as president, Dan as GM, Garrett as player assistant GM. I think back in the day, they used to have individual who were all 3-1, player, coach, GM in one team. Yeah, they've done that. That one of the examples of this was Bill Russell. Bill Russell was, I don't know if he was the GM, but he was definitely the player and the coach for a while. He played on the team while he was coaching at the same time. That's really rare, player coach, but it has happened in the history of the NBA. And Bill Russell is one of them. But yeah, I don't know if there's ever been a player coach GM. I did that in my city league. That's a whole other level, though, right there. Trevor's saying, I'm going to be in Vegas a couple days before Summer League games. It will stay until the end. There you go. So, Trevor, you're going to be there around like the 10th of July, maybe the 9th or the 8th or something like that. Keep us posted. And once again, your goal is to get into the Raptors practice ballroom and take some pictures of yourself in there. I want to see you get in there at the Wynn Casino. That's right. Neil's saying two things can be true, Wayne. He can sit at the end of the bench and teach the youths. Okay, you guys are getting you're getting into it. I'll try to do the vernacular, but if my pronunciation is not exactly right, I apologize. Rice and peas. Rice and peas. That's right. Fuck Ed Rogers. All right, we got this done right now. This is important business done. She saw the picture on the stream for today, and Monique had a job to do today, and she came in and just fulfilled it. There you go. Fuck Ed Rogers. You're getting a dunk, Monique. You're at 72. That is the sentiment, and you could say that every day for the rest of your life in this stream if you wanted to, and I would be so happy. I might give you a dunk every time you say that. So we're just going to have a daily fuck Ed Rogers from Monique Lawrence. That'd be great. And I'll say never forget Masai and bring him up over and over again. Never let them forget this bullshit they did on Friday. They want us to forget, and they're going to try and distract and try and do all kinds of things, but we need to bring it up all the time, Raptors Nation. We really do. Never let this go. And continue to put this in their face. Seriously, they need to feel this. They do. Wayne's saying, that's the point, Blackhawk. It's not about him getting minutes, but doing exactly that. Mentorship, resource on the team. You have questions about the NBA, the collective bargaining agreement, about how NBA things happen. Garrett Temple is your dude. He will help you. He will help you, young Raptors. That's right. Go talk to him, Elijah and Colin. That's right. That's right. Neil saying no team plays all 15 players unless there's a blowout. How front office gets around this is to have vets at the end of the bench. They know that they're going to help the rooks, and they know they won't get minutes. This is the thing. Garrett Temple could play the amount of minutes that he played last year. He could play less this year, and he's still valuable because it's kind of like a little thing on your roster. It's like he's giving you things without even having to have playing time. So he's an investment that pays off in intangibles and other ways. And he doesn't even have to play. That's fantastic. You want to have players on your team that kind of are like that are like, they add to your team and they help your team without even getting a single damn minute on the court. And that's, I mean, in some ways that sounds smart. Somebody will say, wait, what? You're going to pay a guy $3.6 million and you're not going to play him? And he's a bonus? It's like, yeah, that's how fucking badass he is off the court and what he gives us. Seriously. Congratulations, Garrett. Welcome back from the super fan, Monique Lawrence. I love that. G saying, I like Draymond, the player. Objectively speaking, his role is valuable on teams. I agree. The extra stuff has no place on the team, but Colin Murray Boyles doesn't seem like that. Yeah. Give me all the good attributes of Draymond Green and leave all the bad ones out for sure. Yeah. Wayne saying, yep, the sky's blue and marbles are round. Yeah. Yep. Neil saying it's both. Him not getting minutes matters. Minutes matters. You will have people saying why have a vet and teaching is not good enough, not enough for them. We hear all the time the spot can go to a rookie. No rookie wants to sit. Well, in some ways, it's like what it could have, should have. Once again, people can speculate everything and do different things with everything, but it's like, what's the point? It's all hot air. They do what they do, and we just react to it. It's like, once again, Raptors fans, you don't have power in making the GM decisions. So second guessing them on different stuff, sure, we can do that to an extent, but also just getting mad because they're like, oh, they gave another roster spot to Garrett instead of giving it to a young player or something like that. That's stupid. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. They could have gone in 1,000,000,000 different ways. And well, this is the right one in some ways. This is the right one. Stargate saying, I'm kind of surprised they didn't pick Maxim at 39 either. I know, I'm pissed about that too. And that's why I'm a little worried. This pattern of Raptors drafting undersized players was going on in the 2000s when we had bad management. And we technically drafted undersized this year. Now, Colin, it may not matter because he's a defensive juggernaut. But I feel bad for Elijah. The destiny of him in the NBA is not going to be going anywhere. And in some ways, I question that. It's like Elijah's a fantastic athlete. He can do some very special things. I think he could be a dunk champion. But I don't think he's going to be a long-term NBA player. It'd be very, very hard for him to get ensconced because he's not a position at his position. He's a 6'1" shooting guard. So he's not even just a regular undersized shooting guard. He's 6'1" going against 6'7", 6'8". And that's not good for him in the future. And in some ways, he's not playing point guard style. So he plays a shooting guard style. So this, in some ways, he's already destined to be in trouble, just like a Javon Freeman Liberty in some ways. And in some ways, I could have speculated this just from knowing his player type and going into this league. He doesn't have a long-term future in the NBA. So in some ways, this is also like the Raptors saying, we want a good dog in the system. He may not get to a certain height and ceiling, but he's going to definitely compete. He's going to definitely go after people. He's definitely going to light a fire under people. But in some ways, the destiny for Elijah Martin, unfortunately, is not a long-term NBA career. If he does do it, I'll be very happy for him. It's not that I don't want that dream for him. It's just that you look at it from the outside and think about his position as 6'1", point guard size player, but he plays like a shooting guard. That's not good for his career. Now, in some ways, it's good that he's on the Raptors in particular, because we've got some players that will play point guard that are big, and he can be slotted at the defensive point guard position. But on offense, he can play off ball, and that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's good right there. Yeah. Let's see. They're building a turnover team. Yeah, I think we're going to make other teams cough up the ball a lot. We really did go in even more defensive direction. And the energy you have to put out on the defensive end, well, Murray Boyles and Martin give it. And Darko's going to be very happy with those guys. That's another thing that have in their favor because they're so defensive-oriented. Wepner and Martin and Murray Boyles, they're going to get playing time with Darko if they play their defense. Because in some ways, that's the most important thing that matters to Darko. You better be playing top-notch, all-out defense. He'll give you playing time and put you in the rotation. So that will give them an advantage. Those three guys in particular. Yeah. Let's see. Neil saying, it's not an insult, Lex. Of course they have mentoring. I know. Let's see. Stargate saying, Blackhawk, what is your issue with Garrett, man? You've been dissing this dude and his value to the team for like 2 years now. What's your gripe with him? Neil saying, I know the two ways give us 18 and not 17. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure we're up to speed on how many players we have. Most saying, hey, Lex, in reference to Chloe Kitts, you could be right, her on the tempo. Well, it'd be great. It'd be a nice love story. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. In some ways, people may be like, you don't want the tempo just to draft this girl because she's a girlfriend of a Raptor. You know, in some ways, it's like there's a lot of different things we got to look at. It is whether it's a good fit, it makes sense. If Teresa wants it, if Monica Rogers-Wright wants it, if the coach that we hire eventually, like in the next couple months, wants it. You know, these are the kind of things that will matter. If Chloe Kitts wants it, you know, it's not necessarily if she wants it. I'm sure she'd be very, very delighted and happy if she was an inaugural Toronto Tempo player. So it could be very interesting to see. Neil saying Broden is the third two-way if he's back. I'm not dissing him. You're being sensitive. Yeah, I don't think he was dissing Garrett. I think maybe he's going off of maybe past stuff, but because he's keeping receipts apparently. Just so you know. Neil saying the re-signing of Garrett shows you the direction they're going in because Raptors have 16 signed. When you include our draft picks with Garrett, that means there will be Garrett and someone is going. Yeah, in some ways, that's part of why he's trying to suss this out is like, well, who's going to be in the picture? Like I said earlier, I'm not going to put the spreadsheet together of what our roster's looking like for training camp until after Summer League. I have to see if somebody emerges and who they put a pin in. It's like kind of like a Jeff Doughton Jr. or a Jamison Battle. Well, you have to see who emerges in Summer League and possibly a part of the training camp battle. And then I'll put the spreadsheet together and we'll go over it very extensively. Most saying, what do you think of CMB clothing merch already at RSA, not just jerseys? No, I saw that, and I think that was a quick like I said, I think I said this yesterday. They did that. They scrambled that to show just how invested they are in Colin, to show these special. We're giving you apparel at our apparel store right away. And that's smart. I think it's funny that they made it all about the moment, and they're more immortalizing it with the shirt, the fuck reference to when he got drafted. So they made that lighter, and it made it more positive than what it seemed like at that moment. So some of his PR, damage control, Monique, let's just put it that way. Them putting that shirt out that quickly like that. You can tell the design is very basic and not very, yeah, they just threw it together really fast. And in some ways, I'm telling you, it's partly to kiss his ass. Yeah, it's partly to kiss Boyle's ass. And that's fine. Boyle on his ass? No, he's not Boyle on his ass. All right, let's see. Kareem saying Chloe Kitts is projected to be a 15th to 17th pick, I think. Toronto has the 5th pick. Well, that's cool. You know, I don't think we would reach on her for 5th. In some ways, I'm going to have to, man, this is a whole thing I'm going to have to learn for what we're doing with tempo. It's going to be exciting because I have a whole new world to learn. And I'll deep dive and get the research done on the tempo stuff to be informed like this. But I love that Kareem's already looking out from here. She's projected to be a 15th to 17th pick. I wonder if tempo might do some trading, or who knows? We'll have to see what happens. Actually, you know, you've got to remember also that the WNBA is not a big league. With adding our team, that's going to be like 14 teams. So that could mean that Chloe Kitts is a second-round pick, early second-round pick, and that maybe the tempo will be able to circle around and get her as the second pick in the draft for their first draft ever. We'll have to see. James saying Maxim would have been great. Maybe Raps are targeting some backup centers in free agency and don't want to develop centers. Plus, we have a Shamshay already. Mobo can also play some spot backup centers minutes also. We're just going to have to see. We're just going to have to figure it out. We're just going to have to figure it out. In some ways, I think we're all anxious because it may be partly my fault. I put such an importance on the Raptors getting more bigs on this team this whole summer. And then it didn't happen in the draft. So now everybody's searching for questions of when this is going to happen. I think we're just going to have to be patient and see how it all shapes up and trust in Bobby. I wish I was saying trust in Masai still. I wish I was. Stargate saying sensitive. I just asked a question based off all the things you mentioned about said individual in the past. I don't see how that can be deemed sensitive. I will say this, guys. I will say this. In some ways, I know we're all upset about Masai, and it's manifesting in different ways. And some of us are outraged. Some of us are very much see this as an injustice. I get it. But once again, this energy doesn't need to be coming at each other. We need to just kind of like keep our emotions and focus and kind of like put them at the right places. And I understand you and Neil don't always get along, and you guys are in difference of opinion in different places, whether Zazu's, Discord, here, whatever. I love both you guys. Neil's a fantastic person. Stargate, you're a fantastic person. And I just want you guys to get along. And in some ways, it's important to have basic respect. That's all. That's all. And, you know, what you guys aren't that far off on a lot of things that you guys believe. I know that. I know that. Yeah, it's all good. And I think that you guys just drop it. You know, no more personal attacks. I don't think you guys are really personally attacking each other, but it's definitely that you guys are kind of going 1 versus 1. And I don't like that. Seymour saying, get Kits. It might help Boyle's game. Yeah. I mean, it'll help him be happier. Maybe he will be less distracted from leaving the city to go see his girlfriend because his girlfriend's already in the city. I mean, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. I mean, I guess Colin putting the shirt on is maybe a good sign that the possibility is there. The possibility is there. Yeah, W stream fam, 11:56. I know I'm way over, and I'm getting close to the 3-hour mark, so I want to get out of here. Thank you for the cuts, guys. Thank you for the cuts, Fiercey. There's the cut from Monique too. Thanks, Lex, for the Raptors fan therapy session. We had to vent in a safe space for the community. I'm still in the mindset of Raptors making 6th playoff spot. Team is good enough as is to make some noise. Yeah, they're going to be great. I think they're going to do fantastic. Let's not let the bad event that happened Friday overshadow everything that's positive that's possible for us going forward. In fact, we don't want to forecast misfortune and failure for the Raptors. We want to forecast success and good things happening still for it, despite some of the changes. So we got to remember the eyes are on the prize still. And that is that thing right there. And that's what we need to keep focused on. That's right. Thank you for the cutoff, Mo. I really appreciate you, man. Cutoff. Look at that. He put stop signs in. James, you're going to get a dunk for innovative emoticon work. That was very Tom Duke-esque. I'm going to say that was Dookie-esque. Dookie-esque. James, you're at 18 on the dunk charts, man. That's your 9th dunk of the year. But wait, no, 6th dunk of the year. That's pretty good, man. Smooth saying, per Shams, Malik Beasley being investigated for gambling related to NBA games and prop bets. There you go. I have to commend the state of California is going to ban all sports gambling very soon, apparently. That's what I'm hearing, that California is smart, progressive, usually doing cutting edge things in good ways. Well, the state of California's had enough, and they think that they're going to ban all gambling on sports very soon as a state. Very interesting. I don't know how that'll go over and how it will work exactly with the internet, but that's what they're saying is California is looking into banning sports gambling. And I'm glad there's at least people out there that have the sense to want to try and do this. Isaac, thank you for putting me on blast. The benevolent one, holding it down in the nation's capital, Ottawa. We love you, Isaac. Let's see. Smooth saying, per Shams, LeBron James opting into his $52.8 million contract. No home team discount. He's got new owners that are loaded, and he can go ahead and get that money now. In some ways, the Buss family may have cheaped out, but not the new owners that own the Dodgers. And LeBron's going to get that money while he can. He's going to get it. That's right. Reggie saying more with the Malawatch stuff. Him and his reps didn't want to be in Toronto because of the South Sudan travel ban. It would have been more complicated getting him in the U.S. as a member of the Toronto Raptors. That may be true. That may be totally true. The way things are going with ICE and Trump and the way they're going after people just crazy, it could very well be every single time he'd have to cross the border to go from the States to Canada back and forth, that may be a risk. Totally. This actually makes a lot of sense, what you just said. Some people would say it's the opposite. Well, why wouldn't he want to play here if there's a travel ban and stuff? Well, if he's in the States more, he only has to come across the border to Canada, especially on the West Coast. That may have been another part of it, is part of the reason why he's like, we want him to play for a Western Conference team, because that means he only has to go to Toronto once to cross the border. So that all makes sense, what Reggie's saying right there. That's a speculation that with my critical thinking makes complete sense. Complete sense. Smooth saying they would have had to apply for a travel visa for him. With the current admin in the U.S., there's no guarantee it would have been approved. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. Yeah. Who knows? Blackhawk saying we got to stop calling out size without calling out skill level. If they are short but very skilled like Kyrie, should we say, but he's short? Well, it's just the philosophy of this. Like, think about it this way, Neil. This is how I look at it. When Richard Petty took over of MLSC and ousted Isaiah Thomas was drafting players like Marcus Camby and Tracy McGrady and Damon Stoudemire. Damon Stoudemire was an undersized player, but he was in the vein of Isaiah, and he was the rookie of the year, and he was bigger than his size, and he's special, but he's the exception. He's not the rule. You don't want to draft undersized people most of the time in your league because you're putting yourself at a detriment automatically. So what happened was we went from great drafting with Isaiah to a period where we did not draft well at all. We drafted duds like Michael Bradley and Chris Jeffries and Joey Graham and Rafael Araujo. And these were really bad draft picks. There was a period of very bad draft picks in the middle. Now, some of these draft picks were bad, not just because they were bad players, but they were undersized players. And I totally feel like that the Leafs and MLSC were submarining our team by putting undersized players so that when we lined up against the teams across, as Nick Nurse said, we'd like to look across and see them eye to eye. In some ways, we were giving our team, and this is part of the reason why we had such a bad second half of the 2000s, is our team was perennially undersized against the rest of the NBA. And that is a way, if you have a management team that is more hockey centric and they don't really want the Raptors to be good, on the download, you can sabotage your team by staffing it with undersized players. That's what I'm saying. It's not about a knock on the players. Colin Murray-Boyles, even though he's undersized, I'm sure he's going to be great. But I'm just saying, imagine the scenario I'm talking about. If your ownership and the team president or the MLSC president, Keith Pelly, don't necessarily actually have good intentions for the Raptors to win completely, and they're absolutely drafting short-sized people that when we match up against people, we are at a disadvantage. Don't be naive to this, Neil. Don't be naive to this. That's why I talk about it. That's why I talk about it. Neil saying, okay, it's Monique. I'm on Monique. Where is she? Oh, here we go. She's saying, hang on. No, it's not Monique. Ed Rogers, anger. Okay, there you go, Trevor. I like that. Yeah, Trevor, you were gone. And while you're gone, Masai's gone all of a sudden. I was like, where's Trevor? We need Trevor. Masai's gone, Trevor. Oh my gosh. Neil saying, by the way, when I exclude the two ways, it's because the two way doesn't affect full salary spots. We're at 16 salary spots. Guess what has to happen? Actually, we're at 15 salary spots with 3 two ways. That's what it is. It's 15 roster spots, 3 two ways. But that's a good that's a good difference you have to make. You're pointing out, yes. Most saying advice for you, Lex. When you have topics like Ed Rogers, of course, your streams will be longer. Busy week in the Raptors Nation. Yeah. Well, I expected this. This is monumental, earth-shattering news in the Raptors world. What happened on Friday, and yeah, Lexathons are coming, and that's what's happening right now. I have 5 minutes to go before 3 hours. We'll get done soon. I'm going to get done in the last 5 minutes. Weekly top reminder: go play basketball. There you go. I like that. Trevor's saying open gym moment presented just dropped 25 minutes ago. Cool. And Blackhawk saying Malawach has a Ugandan passport to get around the Sudan ban. Also, Toronto could get Malawach permanent residency. Yeah, there's probably workarounds, but it could very well be that his management's like, let's not even try and deal with this. I don't know. The whole thing with Malawach just didn't happen, and we got to let it go. At least we still have Ulrich. All right, here we go. Let's do the classic card, guys. Yeah, we'll do this one. This one's classic. Let's see if everybody remembers this player. Full name answer, please, on the classic card. I think you can see him from there. Yeah, some people say Nick Nurse ruined this man's career. So, yeah, you go ahead and tell me who this is right there. Yeah, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? Full name answer. Oh, man, that's a horrible spelling. That's not how you spell his name. Come on now. Okay, all right, you fixed it. So I'll give it to Seymour, even though Slug Deezy's the first one to really write it right. Seymour he got spell corrected. I know he did, and he got it right. It is Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker, who's not in the league anymore. He plays internationally in Europe at this point. Yeah, Kemba Walker. I'm going to give it to Seymour. I'm sorry, Slug Deezy. You're just right behind there. So even though if he hadn't put the name correctly right after you, I wouldn't have given it to him. But I'm going to be nice to Seymour today. He's had a tough – we've, the little bit of him and I talking a bit, and I want to make sure there's nothing but love. So let's see. Kemba Walker is the card, and I'm going to go ahead and give it for 50. That's not that a hard card. Seriously, these are pretty well-known people we've been getting lately. So 50 points to Seymour Pate on the classic card today. There you go. There you go. All right. So Neil's saying also, my point about size is it is a lazy argument when skill is not included. Many players have been typecast because of this dangerous redirect. Well, I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be sizist, but it's just the damn truth. I'm sorry, Marquise Noel. If you're short, you in the land of the Giants, it's really hard to score in there. Muggsy Bogues was special. Fred VanVleet's been special. But in some ways, Marquise Noel's not special enough to go in there and do it. I mean, I get it. Skill can take you to certain levels, but in some point, the big, huge game of the NBA will crush you. You can be a skilled player in college and get a lot more done, but you get to the NBA, it will crush you. And I mean, you can disregard size doesn't matter. It does matter. It very much matters the NBA. Victor Wembanyama's arms matter. So you say it's a lazy argument, but there's just a basic truth to it. And you're right. Colin Murray Boyle should get more consideration for his skill, and I will as I see him, and we see how he fits in the NBA. But also, when I see his possible size being a detriment at times, I'm going to point that out too, and that's only fair. I'm just saying the teams that win are the biggest, strongest, and tallest teams usually. That's really, in some ways, sometimes right. In some ways, it was true in the finals. The bigger team won. The Thunder were a bigger team than the Pacers. And in the end, in some ways, that was a deciding factor for why the Thunder won. So I'm just saying. All right, let me check my tabs and make sure I didn't miss anything. That's right. We went over the history of the Ed Rogers feud with his family. I hope that I educated you guys a little bit more on the background of Ed Rogers and who he is, and just kind of how much of a swarthy, egotistical piece of shit he is. That he will get rid of people if they're successful in his company just because they outshine him. And that's exactly what he did to Masai Ujiri, that wireless head, Muhammad from before. Yeah. And he's a ruthless businessman that has no humanistic heart in him. The humanistic side of the family went to the sisters. And that's why the sad part of it is that they're not more in charge. And he's cut them out. And basically, at this point, he is kind of the power monger of the whole entire Rogers conglomerate solely by himself. The sisters are still somewhat in the board and somewhat active in certain ways, in certain contingencies of the whole organization. But let's not get it twisted. It's King Edward Rogers III, and sadly and unfortunately. And hopefully I gave you guys some more background on how that developed to get to this point. I appreciate everybody watching the stream today. Remember, go out there. Oh, I'm going to do straight goods on Canadian goods. I say don't go to Walmart, go to Giant Tiger. Giant Tiger is a Canadian company where you can get discount prices on different stuff. So go to Giant Tiger. It is a Canadian company. It's been around for a long, 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 long time. So yeah, you can go to Giant Tiger and feel like you are actually spending money in the right kind of way. There you go. Happy birthdays to Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is 34 today or something like that. I think that's right. Justin Champagny, happy birthday to you and your twin brother, Julian. They are both turning 24 today. So happy 24th birthday, Justin Champagny. And also a happy birthday to Shamari Pons, who has turned, I guess he's turned 27 today. So yeah, that's Raptors birthdays for today. Kawhi Leonard, Justin Champagny, and Shamari Pons are the birthdays for today. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. I'm right at 3 hours. Let's get out of here. Trust in Masai still. We love you, Masai. Masai forever. Never let him go. Bring him up as much as possible forever, Raptors Nation. Seriously. And if you have to say a fuck Ed Rogers every day, fuck it, Keith Pelly, go ahead. And if you see them out in public, let them know how you feel. Seriously. Let them know how they feel by canceling your Rogers accounts. Let them know how they feel if you see Keith Pelly in a restaurant. Sure, go ahead and let them know how you feel. Seriously. Wemby has length, so does Alex Lim, but you can see Wemby's skill is higher. Now, I won't disagree. I think we're arguing apples to oranges. I'm just saying if you have a same player with the same skill and one's taller, pick the taller one. That's what I would say. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Let's go Raptors. Be back tomorrow with a Monday moment. Yeah. Fuck you, Ed Rogers. Yeah, Masai.